And what did you use for bait?
A plum.
A plum. Perfect.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, July 20th, 2014. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 636.
This is No Agenda.
Creating colossal calculus from the South Austin Safe House in FEMA Region 6 here in the capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from the more important FEMA Region 9, otherwise known as Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I didn't know it was more important.
I said so.
I get so pissed. You do this move, and you start unpacking everything, and then I have this whole plan to divest of a lot of things, which is working out fine. So I have a lot of boxes that I'm going to either keep closed and never open up again and get rid of.
Okay.
But now I have to open up every single one because I can't find my instruments.
Just reach down.
It was bad when do you remember the giant nail clippers one of our producer kids made for us? They're like 12 inches long, like a huge nail clipper. Don't you remember that?
No.
Well, I found that.
Oh.
But my slide whistle, no. I find all kinds.
So you lost your slide whistle
and my bullhorn and my
bullhorn is so big. If you can't find that, you can't find anything.
And my orchestral kazoo.
Oh, the kazoo?
Yeah.
You played it on the last show.
No, I haven't played it. I have not played with my kazoo since we've been here. It's bad.
Huh.
Anyway.
Well, it can happen. What's your rain stick?
Now that you mention it, I have no idea where the rain stick is. It's probably with the kazoo.
You'd think you'd keep all the musical instruments that pertain to the show in one box.
Yes, and now I don't know where it is. It's just.
Did you use the felt tip pen trick, where you actually write on the outside of the box?
Yes. And so I thought it would be in knickknacks.
It's not a knickknack. These are important tools. You demean yourself.
No, I thought it would be in the box that's labeled. I have it right here.
Okay.
Studio, photos, awards, etc.
Well, that's an empty box.
No, I have photos. I have one award. Remember, one of our producers gave us an award.
Yeah, that's true. Best podcast in the universe. I have that to sit on the mantle.
From the trophy store.
Yeah, from the trophy store. Hey, whatever works. All these things are bullcrap anyway. You might as well just get somebody to give you one.
Well, it's finally happened, John.
Well, no, wait. Before you think you're going to start the show, I'm not going to allow it. Not that I'm a dictator, but we have to. Show after show after show, I keep writing down.
Oh, no, but we're not going to talk about
PBS.
Really? You want to talk about it now, right now? Can't we do that before?
No, we'll skip it. We'll skip it for now. But I want to talk about it before the show's over.
All right. I'll ask the human resources in the chat room to remind us to talk about PBS and NPR. It's both. I'm sure they will do that.
I can't remember what it was about.
Yeah, I do. It was
okay. Good. Fine. Now you can go on.
Well, I was going to say that it's finally happened.
What?
The media, certainly in the United States, has finally broken through to all levels of civilization. I don't know if the payoff
already. I know this is some.
I don't think the payoff is going to be good enough. They finally infiltrated the young minds, the children, and now everybody knows.
Poop time!
All kids' fault.
All the kids know. I love this kid.
Poop time!
Putin! And Mickey just put a box in front of the door. Hold on.
Does she put the box on the floor and then push it towards you with a stick?
No, with her toe. With her toe. She like nudged it forward a little bit, but I don't think the instruments are in there. I do see other important things.
Like what?
Like wires.
Oh, nothing like those important wires.
And a manual. I see a manual on top. Okay, I'll actually tell you what the manual says. It says. Oh no.
It's for your ICOM.
No, it's a It's a printout of the Unabomber manifesto.
Well, that comes in handy. You should keep it by your bedside.
Oh, man. Well, I think we both probably did a lot of work. We have not spoken, obviously, since Thursday's show.
I didn't. I knew you were gonna. It wasn't. No matter what I did, my work was the following.
Okay. Yes, you just.
I have a lot of like short background stuff I'm curious about, contradictions, intros to your piece, whatever you're going to say.
Yeah.
And I have my thoughts on the matter, which are, pretty mundane, it seems to me.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that
we're talking about MH.
Yeah, of course, we're talking about the downing of Malaysian Flight 17. Yeah, the downing from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, and as the world. Well, there are three worlds that basically exploded around me. One, of course, is just the media world in general as we know it, which is every channel everywhere. The second one is. Of course, the Netherlands, this being a 158, 159 Dutch people, so obviously have some unique insight into the feelings there, and what actions the government are or not taking. And then, of course, there's the conspiratorial angle. And what I always find, I used to really be into it, and I still can do it. I think I can do it very well, but. It's just a little upsetting because of the waste of time is how did it really happen? Who really did it? And that really, in this case, I wish more people saw that, doesn't matter. It's just, it's fun to figure it out. And I think because of the outstanding people who that are producing audiences comprised of, I think I have a pretty good idea of how this actually took place and what happened. But it's like, that seems to be the only thing that people are interested in. And what if you look at we actually talked about the Hegelic dialectic of problem, reaction, solution,
Well, I've got if you're going to go in that direction, let me throw another thing into the mix, which is the anecdotal material I talked about a couple of shows ago, where if you put a bunch of people in front of an audience and you show them a picture of something, and you take another group and show them a picture of something else, and then you show a kind of a combined picture, the people who saw they're predisposed to see something they just saw. So in this case, since we've been hammering Putin for one thing or another, everybody's predisposed. Everybody's predisposed, both the media and the public, and of course the government's in charge of making this work. The Newlands of the world, the Noodlemans.
Well, not just the Noodlemans.
That's what you see. You see what you've been programmed to see. So everybody's seeing it.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the dialectic or anything fancier than that. It's just simple.
No. It's the dialectic is problem, reaction, solution. That's the Noodlemans who you're talking about. So let's just look at the overall issue. Before Thursday, we essentially had Ukraine, a situation where, let us remember that the United States put a government into Ukraine, and we have, just like we have proof of what's the term, pro-Russian separatists. I have to get it right. Pro-Russian separatists, of course, before Ukraine exploded, when we had the Maidan and the sharpshooters and all that crap going down, we had our very own assistant Secretary of State, Ambassador Noodleman. Boy, did we. This is exactly, she said it, and now we're making good on the promise. So the problem with Ukraine, of course, it being the chokehold, really the main control point, access corridor for Russian gas into Europe, which is not to be underestimated. I think people do not understand how important this is. And of course, I'm talking about gas that goes through pipelines, not gas you put in your car. Actually, Mickey mentioned to me this morning, she said there's going to be a lot of people, new people listening to the show, and they're going to tune in. And she says it's going to be, for them, it's going to be the equivalent of they've been reading National Enquirer all their life, and all of a sudden they pick up the Financial Times and they're supposed to understand it. Their eyes are going to turn back in their head and go, what? So I'm trying to give as much background as possible. But this is 100% about control, and the control, as we know, is for the United States. We want the control. We want to isolate Russia, make them an appendage of China. It's push all of that off to one side, and if possible, not only be in control of the European energy, which means we then we do control Europe in that to a certain extent. I mean, gas is, I don't think people really understand, John. They're like, so what? My stove won't work. I don't think people understand how
my stove.
Gas is, it generates electricity. There's a lot of things. You really need this gas. And also the euro, the recycled euro. You need Russia. Europe needs Russia, particularly Germany, as a trading partner. And the Netherlands is very interesting because their largest trading partner is Russia. They have Rotterdam, the Maasvlakte, the port of Rotterdam. All these pipes are coming in. They've got big LNG for liquefying gas and moving it off through the port of Rotterdam on ships, but also continuing. They've got a processing plant. That is the business. That is the biggest business in the Netherlands, is Rotterdam. And Shell has invested billions and billions and billions to be a good player and a good partner with Gazprom and Russia. So this could not have been a more perfect country to attack for a number of reasons, which we'll get to. But what was happening is because this is done by the Nudelmans and the Kagans and John Kerry and the neocons, the same people who took us into Iraq. President Obama is not helpful. He's not. First of all, he's not even in the game. I think that's pretty much our thesis. And he's not helping. He's not waving swords. He's a
stooge on the stage.
But he's not even doing. He doesn't know his lines, and I don't think anyone's giving him lines. He doesn't understand what to do. So we needed to play it a different way, and I'm pretty sure if I went back and listened over the past 2 months, we discussed more than once saying they've got to light up something big because this is getting no attention. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So you kill some people in Ukraine, whatever. And they did it. They lit something big up, and now we have the attention of the world stage, and I have a number of clips to back up an overall theory. And while we're doing this, I would also like to explain what happened. But let me get through a couple things first. No, these are not bodies from the other Malaysian Air flight.
I like that one. They took the other plane with all the corpses in it, flew it over the Ukraine, and then blew it up to cover up. Well, do you think the insurance companies wouldn't, just basically cancel all the policies of Malaysian Airlines if this was even possible?
Yeah, and
there's a lot of these planes are not the kind of thing you can do this with.
No,
it's a lot of money.
And we saw passports with holes punched through them. Yeah, look, I have traveled many times with my old passport and my new passport, and the old passport had a hole punched in it. So I can understand where people are coming from, and the passports didn't melt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, with aviation accidents, disasters, a lot of weird things can happen. And you've probably seen plane crashes where people walked away. But in fact, remember the plane crash that crashed behind John McEnroe's house up in upstate New York? And they had, this was early days of CNN.
Yeah.
And so they just stayed on it live once they got up there. And there was a lady in her seat in the middle of the crash, alive, unscathed. So it's not like, all the bodies should be ripped apart and smashed to bits. There's a lot of people statistically a lot of things. So these theories, I like them. I understand where they're coming from, but no, I think they're
quite enjoyable.
They are enjoyable for sure. So no, it's not that. And it didn't happen. Yeah.
What would be the point? That's the other thing.
Exactly. Well, it most definitely did happen because I know enough people who are either directly related or no more than one degree of separation from people who most definitely died on the flight. Now, the main thing, of course, is why would Putin ever want this to happen? It makes no sense anywhere in any angle you look at it. Does it make
on
any
any planet?
No, he would never want this to happen. What he wants and what he, I believe, has been trying, and he's been very smart. He's been sitting quiet, like, okay, look, we got the U.S. They're making a big scene. They're killing people over there in the East.
Let's wait for them to get their tit in the ringer.
Right. He's just sitting back, waiting for stuff to happen, and they can accuse him all he wants. But now, all of a sudden, oops! Now we have people on Facebook are talking about it. Now, all of a sudden, it's important. And what is it about, or what is the end result supposed to be? I think one clip, and we're going to play this one right off the bat. So I'm going to give you the punchline to start with, and we'll work backwards from that because a lot of interesting people have said some very funny things. And of course, we want to keep this a comedy show. On Thursday evening, which I think Charlie Rose, I believe, tapes at 4 p.m. for the Charlie Rose show at New York time. So this happened Thursday morning. Hillary Clinton is clippity-clop. We can actually play the jingle for her. I haven't done that in a while. I'm so happy to have her back.
You sure it's not in the box?
No, Clippity Clop is here in this box.
The message is clear.
Just Clippity Clop.
All right, and she just comes out and says it. Now, I could have cut this up into little bits. It's 4 minutes, but I think the entire thing is worthy of listening because not only does she tell you what this is about, why this has happened, what the ultimate solution should be, but she even manages to work in a promotion for her book that she predicted this. And this woman is great. Have you seen this interview with Charlie Rose?
As a matter of fact, I did.
Okay.
Let me
I didn't
begin
clip it, though.
with the news of this day.
Yes.
A plane shot down over eastern Ukraine. What questions would you be asking?
You hear it already to go, yeah. What questions would you be asking if you were president?
At this moment?
Well, the questions I'd be asking is, number one, who could have shot it down? Who had the equipment?
Now, remember, this is before we've even had anyone on the ground. We already have the story. We know it's been an SA-11. We know it's the rebels that have done it. We know the only possible people who could have provided this equipment were the Russians, which, by the way, is pretty much like, rebels in Syria have American weapons. But that's beside the point. The story is set. It's done. This script is rolled out, and she's in on it, of course.
It's obviously an anti-aircraft missile.
Obviously. I mean, it could have been a fighter jet that shot it down. It could have been a terrorist bomb. But no, it's obviously, even though we've been given no proof except for a YouTube video with two guys on the phone and a hazy shot between two trees of what looks like a missile launcher with a missile missing. We have proof.
Who could have had the expertise to do that? Because commercial airlines are big targets, but by the time they got over that part of Ukraine, they should have been high. So it takes some planning. And the Ukrainian government has been quick to blame it on terrorists, which is, their name for the Russian insurgents. And there does seem to be.
By the way, notice the subtle language. It's no longer pro-Russian separatist. It's the Russian insurgents. This is very good. She's very, very good. And Charlie Rose doesn't bat an eye. Isn't that amazing how she just slips that in, John?
It makes you wonder. For a number, but keep playing.
Part of Ukraine, they should have been high. So it takes some planning. And the Ukrainian government has been quick to blame it on terrorists, which is, their name for the Russian insurgents. And there does seem to be some growing awareness that it probably had to be Russian insurgents. Now, how we determine that will require some forensics. But then if there is evidence pointing in that direction, the equipment had to have come from Russia.
Obviously.
What more the Russians may or may not have done, we don't know. I read as I was walking in today to talk with you, the Russian stock market has dropped. There is a great...
Pay attention to that. This is a common theme about the Russian stock market has dropped. This is hurting Russia. Very common theme amongst the elites.
Deal of concern that not only was a civilian plane shot down, but what this means about the continuing conflict in eastern Ukraine and the role that Russia is playing.
So what does the United States do if there isn't clear indication and clear evidence that it was Russian separatists and perhaps using weapons from Russia?
Notice Charlie Rose is now saying Russian separatists. He's going back to the old script, and now but he's dropped the pro-Russian separatists. And by the way, if we had real Americans on this flight, not one, halvesy, some 50%er, it would have been, I got my AK, my AR-15, we're going to kill some fucking Ruskies and Ukrainians, Putin, get him. Because we've evolved as a slave species. You just have to show one American really being killed, and America gets up and wants to go over there and kill everybody. So this is very carefully chosen, this target.
I think that the first question is, what does Europe do? I think the United States has been very clear in both its criticism of Russia and Putin, its support for Poroshenko and the new Ukrainian government, and there has just been a new round of sanctions that President Obama himself has announced. As you know, the Europeans have tried to figure out the best way forward. I was recently in Europe. A lot of questions about whether or not Russia was really the aggressor, whether or not Putin was really dangerous.
Oh, these silly Europeans. Don't they know better? This is crazy.
How could that be evaluated? From my perspective, and I have the benefit of not being in the government,
yeah, I'm a lizard. I have the benefit of
Actually,
being...
that's the most telling line right there.
I have the benefit of being a lizard person as well. No, I'm not in the government. Mm-hmm.
If there is evidence linking Russia to this, that should inspire the Europeans to do much more on 3 counts. 1, toughen their own sanctions, make it very clear there has to be a price to pay.
Now, this is indeed one of the main outcomes that has to take place, because we want more control over Europe. And when I say we, that is the Yaleys, the neocons, the Kagans. It's not the Obama administration, right? It's the people who really, I guess, run things. Oil, big money. So yes, we want more control over Europe. And how do we get that?
Number 2, immediately accelerate efforts and announce they are doing so to find alternatives to Gazprom. Russia has not diversified its economy. It is still largely dependent upon natural resources, principally gas and oil. And thirdly...
Well, let's just stop here for a second. She says it right there. You must diversify from Gazprom. Well, this is not so simple unless you have, let me see, what is that little place we had the Eurovision Song Contest? Oh, yes, Baku, Azerbaijan, which has, what do they have there? They got like lots of oil and gas, and we've been putting pipelines in through, what's the other place with the Thai Eaton guy? Oh, yes, Georgia, where Hillary Clinton, before she left her post as Secretary of State, placed a Coast Guard ships off the coast of Georgia to protect the pipeline, which goes right in the sea there. And of course, that is a northern route coming in to Europe, which is controlled by United States and to some extent UK oil and gas interests, but gas predominantly. In no way does it supply enough gas to fill all of Europe. So there's other alternatives that are being built, but nothing is really in place. You also need to know that Ukraine just auctioned off in a IMF privatization scheme 49% of the ownership of all of its pipelines. I wonder who that goes to. And of course, we have Chevron and Exxon actually also drilling in Ukraine. So we're not there yet, but all the pieces are in place to diversify and divest away from Gazprom.
do more in concert with us to support the Ukrainians. There has to be more help on their borders in order to prevent this porous border, allowing Russians to go back and forth, insurgents to do the same.
There's your border control meme.
Do more to help their military obtain better equipment, better training. The Ukrainian military under Poroshenko has been much more focused and more successful, but nobody kids themselves. If Russia really keeps weighing in on behalf of the insurgents, there's a lot more that needs to be done. And to put Putin on notice that he has gone too far and we are not going to stand idly by.
Put Putin on notice.
So the Europeans have to be the ones to take the lead on this. It was a flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur over European territory. There should be outrage in European capitals.
Interestingly enough, there really isn't that much outrage in European capitals. And this is big frustration in the Netherlands, John. Now, of course, I have unique insight to this. Of course, people have turned their Twitter and Facebook avatars and icons to black.
Oh,
I kid you not. All of the focus in the Netherlands is now. And by the way, the Prime Minister had a chat with Putin, Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, and he said it was a very, very tough conversation, but. We both agreed the primary thing we need to do, the number one thing we need to do, is to make sure we get the bodies out of there. So the entire world is now, certainly the Netherlands, is being focused on, it's an outrage that people are just throwing these bodies in bags and these aren't professionals, this is not an international thing. And so everyone's focused on that. No one is talking about, hey, wait a minute. What, did Putin do that? Are we going to kick his ass? And the whole Dutch government is having meetings behind closed doors. And yes, we have to be it's a sensitive situation. And of course, that is because the Netherlands, without Gazprom, that could easily be, 35% of their GDP, even more. The Netherlands is a beautiful target for this. And so people they don't know what to do. They don't know that everyone is stuck. There's no national, there's no national, what do you call it? Call
outrage.
For no outrage, but also no official flags flying at half mast. There's no official statements like that. The king and queen, they signed the condolence register online. But it's bullshit. It's all bullshit because they know they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But now you see an entire country that has been enslaved to such a degree that they're like, whatever. There's even articles being written by famous comedians. There's one comedian who writes an article in the so-called intelligent newspaper. And he said, oh boy, this is such bullshit. No, all the famous Dutch people are tweeting about how sad they are. Oh, fuck them. You see, no one's talking about any real issues. It's a quagmire of bull crap with no leadership, no direction. And people will just fade away and they won't talk about it anymore. So perfect.
And therefore action. If it comes to this, do you think that Putin is willing to take more risk than ever before with respect to the Ukraine and to Ukraine? And do you believe that sanctions will have the power to restrain him?
I think Putin is pushing the envelope as far as he thinks he can. I think he obviously has annexed and occupied Crimea. He is willing to keep Ukraine unstable in order to try to intimidate the new Ukrainian government to back off from their approach to the EU. And I think the only language he understands is one that is very tough, very patient, very clear. The sanctions are an important piece of that. And there is evidence that they are having an effect, but sanctions alone will not necessarily restrain him or change his calculus. That's why
calculus.
I would like to see the Europeans do what I urge them to do, and I write about in the book going back to March 2009, come up with an alternative energy strategy that does not leave you to the mercy of Putin and Gazprom.
Hey,
and they've made some steps, but not nearly enough in my estimation.
That drug dealer over there, man, he's giving you bad crack. You got to come over here and take the crack from me. I got the better drugs. You don't want to count on one supply. And then, of course, the final question, which Charlie's very good at.
Tell me about the sexuality. It's in your DNA.
Sorry. Okay. So it's very clear what this is about. That is the end game. And how are we going to do it? How do we get control? Well, we immediately had a call for an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, which was called for by one of the best speeches I've seen in a long time from our boy Yats. I'm sorry, Noodleman's boy Yats, the Prime Minister, who is dyslexic. As he's reading his script, instead of saying bastards, I think he says bastards. I'm not quite sure, but it didn't come out right.
Let me express on behalf of the Ukrainian government my deep condolences to those innocent who were killed by Russian-led terrorists.
Russian-led terrorists.
We ask all respective governments to participate in this investigation and to support the Ukrainian government to bring to justice all these bastards who committed this international crime.
Bastards.
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 This is the crime against humanity.
Crime against humanity as he bangs his fist on the desk. By the way, I cut out all the pauses. The dramatic pauses this guy puts in was just, I couldn't handle it. I had to cut them all out.
All red lines have been already crossed.
I love that. All red lines have been already crossed.
This is the deadline.
This is the deadline. That's a house track in making right there. GX2, where are you, man? This is the deadline. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It's insane.
Yeah.
We ask our international partners to call an emergency UN Security Council meeting and to make everything we can to stop this war. A war against Ukraine, a war against Europe, and after these terrorists shot down a Malaysian aircraft, this is the war against the world.
Ah, there you go. It's the war against the world. That's right. Okay. Then we have President Obama, who, now, whenever President Obama says something, you've got to listen very, very carefully. This guy, whoever writes for him, as we've learned, nothing is left to chance. Every single word, every syllable is very carefully scripted. So we know exactly what he can point back to later on and said, see, I told you so. And 3 little quick clips from his speech.
Evidence must not be tampered with.
So before anyone talked about anything, he says, evidence must not be tampered with. Meaning, we're going to say the evidence was tampered with whenever someone tries to figure out what really happened here. Well, hey, evidence was tampered with. I told you. So
Investigators need to access the crash site.
Which means, hey, we won't have access, which of course we don't.
And the solemn task of returning those who were lost on board the plane to their loved ones needs to go forward immediately.
So that is the part for the Netherlands. You see, the script unfolds right here. This is the full book of what is supposed to happen.
And the United States stands ready to provide any assistance that is necessary. We've already offered the support of the FBI and the National Transportation Safety Board.
Which, what is that? What does the FBI have to do with it?
The FBI's always got their nose in these things.
They really do. Why?
They're the ones that go in there and screw it, tamper with the evidence.
Is that because people the Washington still believes that the rest of the world thinks the FBI is cool and they always get their guy?
That's true. No, I think it's. I don't know what the point of it is.
Which has experience in working with international partners on these types of investigations.
Oh, okay.
They are on their way, personnel from the FBI and the National Transportation Safety Board. In the coming hours and days, I'll continue to be in close contact with leaders from around the world as we respond to this catastrophe.
Now, pay attention.
Our immediate focus will be on recovering those who were lost, investigating exactly what happened, and putting forward the facts.
Now, here the facts. Now, here comes some interesting language from the president.
I want to point out there will likely be misinformation as well. And I think it's very important for folks to sift through what is factually based and what is simply speculation.
Okay. Folks need to sift through what is factually based, i.e. what I tell you, and what is misinformation.
No one can deny the truth that is revealed in the awful images that we all have seen.
Wow, that's a good one. This is one of the better ones. No one can deny the truth that you see in the pictures. Wow. Do you get the same chills from that, John, or did you don't?
What?
Yeah, the truth. No one can deny the truth.
I didn't get a chill from it. It's just like listening to this guy is just. I'm at the point where it's just numbing.
All right, here's the final line is.
And the eyes of the world are on eastern Ukraine, and we are going to make sure that the truth is out.
What does that mean? We're going to make sure the truth is out. Like they're getting the truth out.
I thought we just saw the truth in the photos.
No, the truth is out. Like, get out of here, truth. What does that mean?
I don't know what it means.
It's not.
Everybody knows.
Now, based upon what the president here said, and also, and I have it in the show notes if anyone wants to watch it or listen to it, what Samantha Power said, who is our ambassador to the United Nations, who, of course, as predicted, had an emergency session where she said she had everything. It was an SA-11. It came from the Russians. They killed children. It's just horrible. She was choking back tears. It was a fantastic performance. But I would advise her.
It was a fantastic performance. She read.
Yeah, I would advise her to look up once from her paper once in a while. All you see is the top of her head. It's stupid. It's no good. Now, in the State Department. Right, and this, by the way, Brian, the gay crusader, pointed this out to me. There's a new girl who I don't know who she is, but she's great, and she has this sexy blue dress on, and she got like dangly earrings, and she got long hair tied up in the back in a horsehair ponytail deal, and I don't know where she's from. I couldn't identify what organization she's from, but she laid into Jen Psaki, and I think she's a new troublemaker we have to keep our eye on.
Is it fair to say that the United States, given the case that Ambassador Power laid out, has at least reached a preliminary conclusion about those matters?
I think there's a range of information that's publicly available, as is the case with serious incidents like this. We'll let the official conclusion be made, but obviously Ambassador Power wouldn't have said that if there wasn't a reasonable belief that that was accurate information.
Don't you see a sort of possible conflict of interest that people might see when the eventual report comes out of how this happened? The U.S. government, given Samantha Power's statements at the UN, is then the U.S. government is then sending the FBI to also be part of this investigation, this report. Couldn't it be difficult for the results of this report to stick if we're already hearing sort of a line from the U.S. government that they believe it's Russia's fault? Then the government is then directly involved in this investigation.
Well, that's not exactly...
There are a range of other nations.
Let me answer your question.
Shut up.
That's not exactly what either the president or Ambassador Power said.
This is exactly what they said.
They also both made clear that there's an investigation and we're going to see through. The FBI participation, the FBI clearly has a range of important expertise.
We've got a range of important expertise.
She can't say what,
Yeah, calculus.
Criminal investigations. I think that's expertise that could...
They're good at, stacking the deck.
We don't know. Could come in handy in this case.
Yes,
that's what they will be offering. So there'll be a range of expertise and entities that will participate in this investigation.
Like guys who plant guns on people and stuff. A range of expertise. All right, so this is it's perfect. Now we have everything set up, and the narrative is these. So we have these Russian insurgents. Let's just call them Putin's guys. Thugs. Let's just call them Putin's thugs who are killing people in East Ukraine because Putin hates everything and wants to shove his gas up everybody's ass. He's a horrible, horrible man. And the idea is these bonehead drunk guys shot a plane out of the sky. That's kind of the narrative. And it's propagated perfectly by this woman, Julie Ioffe from New Republic. Are you familiar with her?
I don't know her, but I saw her talking. She somehow has gotten on the circuit.
Yeah, well, because is New Republic like a neocon right-wing thing?
Never really has been. It's got a funny politic, and I can't give you a simple definition, but it tends to be kind of old-fashioned conservative in a kind of a communist way.
Interesting.
It's the best I can do.
Well, this is a short clip, and she's on the circuit because she's reading the script perfectly, and she she looks kind of the part. She's a good eye candy. She's on the show all the time.
Well, so before it was slowly congealing into this frozen conflict. It had fallen out of the headlines. We hadn't really, I think at least in the U.S., nobody was really paying attention to Ukraine for at least the past month or maybe two. Yep. And then all of a sudden, a jetliner full of Europeans and citizens of other countries flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur is down by these boneheads with surface-to-air missiles. Yes. So all of a sudden, it's affecting people who had never heard of the Donbass region.
Perfect. It's working.
That's about as good as it gets.
It's working. But on the same program with
boneheads. I mean, what? Now, this is the kind of thing I would have said.
This is what's so great about it.
Although I was missing would be drunken boneheads.
Drunken boneheads. Yeah. If she's on with the former ambassador to maybe Russia, maybe. I'm not sure. He's a former ambassador. These guys get rolled out. I've never seen this guy. Hey, he could be off the street for all I know. But just put a lower third, former ambassador. I believe it. No, I'm going to skip that. Forget about that. That's not important. Let's get into how this was done. Was this really a couple of boneheads? Now, have you thought about this, John? I'm sure we've seen. Well,
let me go over some clips that we have here, and so we can get another angle on this, and then you can give us your explanation.
Sure.
I want to start with the blaming the carrier scenario that came out, and then it was then out of the blue came an article in the Atlantic written by James Fallows of all people, who wouldn't normally be doing this, but play. MH17 flight plan story A.
Okie doke.
It's unclear who fired the missile, but MH17 did fly over a war zone, the region below embroiled in conflict between Russian separatists and the Ukrainian government.
It sure is hard to understand why you would route an aircraft over a known combat zone.
But the plane's altitude was determined to be safe for commercial air traffic, even though NATO's top commander, American General Philip Breedlove, said recently that Russia has been providing air defense training to the pro-Russian rebels.
Why this Malaysian flight did not file to either go left or right and not over the combat zone is still a mystery tonight.
Okay, so we get that little kind of teaser.
Can I respond to that, or?
Well, I want to play all of them first,
okay.
And you can respond to the whole group. There's three.
All right.
There is the counter argument, which CBS, which I believe probably more than even ABC, which you like to think of as the government spokeshole network. I always think CBS is the one, more so based on the stories, not based on the connections that which you cite, because there's relatives in there.
Yeah, people are fucking each other.
So MH17 CBS take on airspace. Just a little tip.
The airspace over eastern Ukraine was not closed, and numbers of airlines have been using the route. The wreckage is yielding many clues, and Bob Orr has that.
The trail of debris from what was Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 provides the first real clue. Parts of the wreckage and bodies are spread out over several miles along the flight path. Strong evidence the Boeing 777 started coming apart in midair after some force crippled the aircraft. Large sections of the jet have been recovered away from the primary crash site. This side section of fuselage shown with a man standing on one of the jet's emergency exit doors. And this part of the plane's tail apparently broke off before the bulk of the jet hit the ground.
All right, so this guy, of course, didn't seem to have as much trouble as others in getting around. Right. Now, the last one is...
especially Bob Orr. Okay, yeah. Easy, right?
Okay, so now we have the PBS NewsHour take on the no-fly zone, which from a pilot, and it's actually a very interesting discussion that's very convincing, but when you look at the numbers of planes that are actually flying over this area, if they are to be believed, that were run in the Atlantic magazine, it's kind of weirdly contradictory, but play this and then you can give us a take on this.
Miles, I want to ask you about the flight of this plane. Why was a passenger plane flying over a war zone, a place where militants had access to surface-to-air missiles?
It's a simple answer, I think, Judy. It's just a commercial decision which trumped a common-sense safety decision. Now, the truth be told, that technically this aircraft was flying in free airspace above the so-called lid of the war zone. Up to 32,000 feet was a no-fly zone. They were at 33,000 feet. But as a pilot, I can tell you, I always like to have an out. And when you're flying with only 1,000 feet of margin, if you have something that requires you to descend rapidly, a decompression, an engine loss, or whatever, in short order, you're going to be right in the middle of a no-fly zone. Best case scenario, you're going to end up having to do an emergency landing inside contested territory. So for a carrier to fly over these zones with such little margin for error raises a lot of questions, which I'm sure these families would like to have answered. I looked at the flight paths of some other airlines. It wasn't just Malaysia that went through there on a routine basis. But if you look at what Air France has done recently, what British Airways has done recently, they have scrupulously avoided Ukraine airspace for some time now. And that is the prudent thing to do.
That is a T-shirt right there. That is the prudent
thing to do.
No, he said Putin.
Putin thing to do.
That's a new one. That's a Putin thing to do. Well, let me respond to that. Aircraft fly over combat zones all the time, commercial aircraft. If you look at what's flying over Afghanistan, if you look at what's flying over Syria, if you look at what's flying over Iraq, it happens all the time at these altitudes. All the time. What is interesting that Air France and British Airways had stopped flying is because they knew, along with Putin, who we have reports, also no longer for months now was not flying over the area, told all of his associates do not fly over the area because it was known this was going to happen. This was, and it was also, it's a no-brainer that this was going to happen. But the Malaysians, they're boneheads, whatever. But
well,
then
I took it a step further, and I don't want to sound like my typical bigot about this when it comes to Asian culture. But in general, and I know that I get some feedback, but I think it can be borne out by anyone who's had any experience. They're cheap, best price, save money, cut corners. There's no way they're going to fly around if it's going to cost, like he says, a commercial decision. It may cost a few $1,000s extra in fuel.
Much more than that. Okay. Of course, you always want to fly in a straight line as possible. And if anything, this is now going to give airlines yet another reason to jack up prices. This is...
we'll fly in a straight line?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is not strange. This is people, commercial aircraft have been flying over war zones for decades.
Right. Well, the piece in the Atlantic shows the number of flights over the last week that flew over this war zone. And that includes 75 Singapore flights.
Oh, yeah.
62 Ukrainians, 56 Lufthansa. You think they'd know better?
So here is the question. Because aviation in general knows that they are in no danger flying at altitudes of 32,000 feet or above. Of course, 33 is funny. We like that as a magic number.
Yeah, that's right. We forgot to mention.
That's always funny. That's always cool.
Good for a ring of the bell.
So now we come down to one essential question. Was this an accident, or was it done on purpose, or is there a third option? Is it a combination of the two? Now, I'm going to suggest that commercial aircraft are not targeted. That's why most of them, except for the ones who knew the script, which would be the French and the Brits and the Russians, did not fly over that zone. Let's talk about the SA-11 or the Buk. Now, this is where and I was lucky because it happened yesterday morning. This is when I started to get some information. We have a lot of military people, a lot of people who understand these systems. So I'm going to give you my layman's version of what I have understood, but there is some actual kind of smoking gun evidence, which I'm very which I think no one else has. No one else has put this together. So the SA-11 radar aircraft missile system is a semi-active homing radar missile system. So the way it works is you have a targeting radar. And by the way, absolutely correct to say that you need to be skilled to operate this stuff. Absolutely correct. And I believe the people operating it were skilled. So it has, it's called SSR. So you have two.
So you're going to discount the following concept, which is because we had all these drunks. In fact, can I play one clip before you get into the full explanation? I want to just play the drunk clip discussing the drunks. These drunks.
Where is it? Drunks.
These are the drunks guarding the plane.
This is great.
This is on PBS.
I love this part of the story.
Matt Fry, you've just arrived in the area. What do you know of what is at the crash site now?
Well, Judy, I spoke to an OSC monitor from Canada just a few minutes ago who has just come back from the crash site, which is about an hour's drive from where I am now. And it's dark, by the way. There's a curfew on. People don't really drive in the dark in this part of the world these days because it's just too dangerous. What he told me was extraordinary because he essentially described the biggest crime scene on the planet, one of the biggest crime scenes in aviation history.
Wow, that really discounts 9/11, doesn't it?
Guarded by nothing more than a group of what he described as drunken hoodlums in uniform. These are pro-Russian rebels, all of them armed, most of them drunk or half drunk, guarding this mass grave, which has been treated with some degree of respect, mainly by the locals, by miners who live in the area and their families. They have covered a lot of the bodies in blankets. They have tried to salvage some of the things that they think might be sensitive, like passports and so on. But really, they've also tried, I think, very hard not to contaminate the crime scene in any particular way. The other interesting thing is that this monitor said that when he arrived at the scene, they got a very hostile reception from the people guarding the grave. They weren't allowed in there at first. Then it took a little bit of negotiation. They did finally arrive. There were some reports of warning shots being fired in the air.
All right. So, yeah, I'm sorry. But a bunch of drunk guys are sitting in the missile launcher going, "Hey, Boris, look at this shit, man. Fire. That looks like a military aircraft to me. Comrade, fire." No. Yeah, that is, of course, we would like you to believe that.
I like that story.
I think it's good, too. And it's catching, by the way. It's catching. People believe these stories. No. This is sophisticated equipment. And by the way, I think that, yes, the Russian material, Russian trained, of course, Putin definitely is trying to maintain some kind of order. And so he's protecting a border there. Look, the guy's not innocent. Of course, there's all kinds of bullshit going on. And absolutely, he's got his troops on the border and he's handing weapons out to the so-called rebels. We do the same thing. We're giving weapons to rebels in Syria. This is
I'm going to stop you right there with this comment that was made earlier, where they're saying it's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. Isn't it really? If you start to really look at this properly, it's actually our fault.
Are you going to make me jump ahead? Yes, you're going to make me jump ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
It's okay. It's fine. I'm going to jump ahead to our favorite, Professor Cohen.
Oh, okay. It's all yours.
Here's a guy who we trust, right?
Yeah, well, we as much as we can trust anybody with the kind of research we do.
The late Senator Moynihan said that all of us are entitled to our own opinion, but not to our own facts. The biggest fact missing from the story of the tragedy of the airliner is that for weeks and months now, the government in Kiev, which is a government supported 100% by Washington, has been bombing cities in eastern Ukraine, bombing them, destroying them, leveling them. We probably have about 250 to 300,000 refugees having fled to Russia or other parts of Ukraine. That's a humanitarian catastrophe. We don't know how many civilian casualties there are, but probably at least 2,000 or 3,000. In response, these rebels, whether we like them or not, have declared that they will try to shoot down incoming Ukrainian warplanes, and they have been doing so. It was in this context that this tragedy happened. Without that fact, we are dealing with opinion, And I don't think we honor the people who died by this orgy of political opinion that is coming out of the United States, and particularly out of Kiev, which is producing a lot of, if not false, misleading information. So I think that's where things stand, and we need the entire picture to put this tragedy in context.
I love the the orgy of political commentary. Was that what he said?
Well, I've got the clip.
Oh, okay. What you got?
Now this, this was a long clip I took just a chunk out of the middle to show you that CNN doesn't know what they're doing. And I want you to listen to, on this case, I want you to listen to the innuendo.
By the way, that clip from the professor was from CNN this morning.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that makes up for what I'm going to play. So
well, Fareed Zakaria
coverage here. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the guy, somebody says it's a fact, and the other says it's kind of a fact. No, it's kind of this. Just play this, and then tell me what they said.
Mm-hmm. So Mick, so that these missile launchers are being turned around. First of all, the question is, how damning is that? I mean, it's a question that you can't.
I already love it. I think someone's like rushing to put something in the prompter, and someone's yelling in her ears. But they're turning around to
that evidence. And is it all we're tracking this, and we were hearing this from Ukrainian officials, but we're also tracking this with our own United States intelligence. Correct? I mean, we're confirming what he is saying.
Well, that's right. So far, all of these reports, according to U.S. officials we've talked to, they rather than confirming it, they'll use that sort of evasive language to say we can't dispute it, which often means they have the evidence, but they just don't want to reveal how they obtained or how they got certain kinds of evidence. But they are certain that the missile launch occurred there. They're not entirely certain, but highly suspicious that it was probably Russians, certainly who were training the militia on how to use these weapon systems, and the suspicion, deep suspicion, without actually concluding that fact quite yet, the deep suspicion is that Russians were directly involved in launching those missiles.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then last question.
Yeah. Wow. That was a minute and 10 seconds to say this. Very simple.
Putin! She started off with this a fact, and it deteriorated to deep suspicion. It's astonishing to me what these talking heads do in these situations.
Well, since you've taken me off track, and I will get back again in a moment, Peter King came. Of course, the first John McCain was on within seconds. I mean, as we predicted, didn't we say the minute?
Why don't we just? Shouldn't there be a John McCain puppet that just comes up every so often?
I think this is the one.
I am not concluding yet. We don't want to make the mistake of reaching conclusions. We'll know within the next few hours. But if it is a result of either separatist or Russian actions, mistakenly believing that this was a Ukrainian warplane, I think there's going to be hell to pay, and there should be.
Oh, hell to pay! Hell to pay! Hell to pay! Peter King comes on, and Peter King he's got a pronunciation issue, which I kind of like. There's many ways to say Putin. You can say Putin, like the girl from Russia today. Oh, by the way, on cue with the president's. Oh, there'll be misinformation. Another chickie from RT resigns. It's too much lies. I can't handle it.
I love that one.
But she didn't do it on air. That sucks. I got no clips.
She tweeted
it.
I think the RT producers have identified the agent provocateur in the organization.
And they're like, get out, bitch.
And they don't let him go on live.
Yeah. They block her at the door. We know what you're up to. We know what you're up to. Go away. Go tweet your resignation. So you can say Putin, you can say Putin, you can say, but King, he's got a whole new one.
So does Putin have blood on his hands with this plane crash?
I love the question, Jake. Thank you so much. Blood on his hands. Blood.
Putin is responsible.
Putin. Putin. No, it's Putin. Putin is very cool. I like
so does Putin have blood on his hands with this plane crash?
Putin is responsible. If you want to use the expression blood on his hands, I would say yes. As a world leader, he has to know that when he transfers weaponry of this sophistication, which is so lethal, he has to be responsible for the consequences for that. An American died, so I would blame Putin for that. And I would also...
Putin. What is the name of the Russian commercial airline, John?
Aeroflot.
Aeroflot, yeah? You sure it's Aeroflot?
It's Aeroflot, yeah.
You are sure?
Yeah.
Just like it's Putin.
It's put responsibility on him for all of the others. He's the one who made the decision. If he had not transferred this equipment, it wouldn't have happened. And if he hadn't ordered the training of these secessionists to operate the equipment, it couldn't have happened. So yes, in the world stage, he's responsible.
So, Congressman, what should the consequences be? What would you advise President Obama to do?
I was critical of President Obama yesterday for not being more assertive. I thought he was very effective today. I thought Ambassador Samantha Power was extremely effective with the United Nations.
That's right.
And Americans have to come together behind the president on this.
Right. Yep.
I think, though, we need very strong economic sanctions, stronger than we've had. And I have urged, actually, that we consider having sanctions on Aeroflot. The Russian...
Aeroflat. It's Aeroflat.
Aeroflat.
Aeroflat. Putin's Aeroflat Airlines. Aeroflat. You dick. Peter King, go home. You stupid moron.
Well, have you looked at the sanctions?
Yeah, of course I've looked at the sanctions.
They're all banking sanctions against now Gazprom Bank.
It's all about Gazprom. Okay, now back to
about Gazprom.
Back to this. So we've got a bunch of drunks who have no idea, just pushing buttons. They don't know what they're doing about this semi-active homing radar system.
I got an idea. Hey, Adam. I got an idea.
Yeah, what?
Let's go into the thing there and launch a missile.
I'm so baked.
Let's go launch a missile.
Fucking cool, man. You know, there are going to be people saying, these assholes are laughing. People have died. Yeah, exactly. So the way this thing works is first, the targeting radar is used to identify and track the target. And what it will do is it's going to identify this as by its either mode A or mode Charlie. These are transponder modes, which I happen to know a little bit about, having passed the tests and I have the license. So they would know this is not the one you want to pick off. This is not the one you want to do. But okay, so it's going to lock onto a signal. Then you have a secondary radar, which typically is from a different radar station. In this case, I believe it may have been used by the same system. May have done the illumination. So what happens is the missile knows the general area, but then the target is going to be, as we call it in the biz, illuminated. You're lighting it up. This is very typical. This is how when guys need an attack, an air attack, and they're on the ground, they focus radar on the area where they want the bombs dropped, and this is how it works. You have your primary and secondary systems, and then the missile goes, okay, got to be over there, and then it actually doesn't fly into it. It explodes in the general vicinity, and it has enough shrapnel and crap that it punctures, and the thing comes out of the air. Right? That's how the SA-11 works. Now, even though everyone says we know everything, but the U.S. satellites picked it up, which is funny because we had another Malaysian aircraft. We couldn't detect explosions. We couldn't detect anything. The thing is gone. You have no idea. Radar pings, black boxes. But in this case, it's very clear. We know exactly how it went down. In fact, on our friend CNN, they have the virtual studio, John. Have you seen it's the same dickhead who's like your geography teacher, and he stands in the middle of the floor, and then he has all this virtual 3D stuff flying around him. But he pretty much just says it outright. We have no clue.
Following the breaking news involving Malaysia Flight 17, CNN's Tom Foreman is in our virtual studio.
Woo! As opposed to the real studio you're in, Brolf.
With a closer look at the attack. What are you seeing? What are you finding out, Tom?
Yeah, what's on the teleprompter, John?
What are you seeing? What are you finding out?
Yeah. We got to use this all the time. Hey, John, how you doing? What are you seeing? What are you finding out? What are you learning?
Seeing? What are you finding?
What are you learning?
As investigators try to get control of the ground there, they're following high-tech tracks to figure out where this rocket was launched from at this plane and who did it. Here's talking about the first part. To begin with, planes like this send off radar signals. We've talked about that a lot. Those radar signals can be followed by satellites. Well, the same thing is true of this Buk missile launching system we've talked about.
Yes.
When it is looking for a target, it sends off a big radar signal. And when it launches a missile into the air, that sends off a heat signature first, which can be read by a rocket overhead. And the rocket itself sends off a radar signal when it gets partway along the way, all of which can be followed by satellites and other monitoring systems.
And systems, special secret satellite systems, moon bases.
Clear away all those signals, and what do you wind up with? You wind up with a very clear line that goes from the launch up to where the missile was, up to where the plane exploded in the sky.
So now he has a ... flying past his head in the virtual studio. And you're like, wow, they know exactly where it came from. Everything, it's so precise. We have secret listening systems, high tech.
That's one of the way authorities have been able to trace this back and say they're so confident about where it came from. Now, to determine who shot it, that's a different equation. They've managed to take a very big map that had a very big circle on it 24 hours ago.
Now they draw a circle the size of Ukraine. It came from somewhere in this area.
Good call.
And they've pushed that circle down much smaller to a target that they think contains the launch site.
That's bullshit.
It was all precise.
No, it's bullshit.
But now they have to look at things like the phone calls we've been talking about.
Now we got the phone calls. Forget the circle. We got the phone calls.
These are purported phone calls. Things like this video released by the Ukrainian Ministry of the Interior showing what they say is one of these Buk launchers in the area missing or apparently missing a missile there.
What? Go back to the high-tech satellites. I'm confused now. We've got phone calls and YouTube videos.
By the way, didn't they just knock down a transport plane?
Yes.
Would that account for the missing missile?
Yes. Thank you very much.
You put all of that together, Wolf, with the high-tech tracks. And that's what's allowing them to close the circle down, even if they have to struggle with that very issue you were talking about moments ago, control of the ground. Without that, they'll never know where this missile came from.
All right.
But in the meantime, they keep looking.
Okay, thank you. You just told me nothing. They don't have no idea.
So they went through all that expensive rigmarole.
Yeah, just to say we don't know. Right. Okay. Now, what has been happening, and we have YouTube videos as far back as June 18th, and these are in the show notes. In fact, there's one really cute girl. She's a Russian separatist, I guess, a pro-Russian insurgent, and she actually was really hot. She got an AK-47 strapped around her. She got her t-shirts open. It's really cute. And
you open a t-shirt.
It's like ripped down a little bit.
Ripped.
Yeah, it's nice.
She's a model working for some propaganda agency. Okay.
Yes, and
good call.
Yeah, of course. And thank you. So and we have multiple reports of Ukrainian fighter jets doing what we call shadowing civilian aircraft. And the way that works is, in fact, I'll read from the translation, unverified, but we have enough Russians who can verify this for me. The following happened just a short while ago. There was a regular passenger plane, civilian plane, flying over Sloviansk. A Ukrainian fighter plane hid behind the passenger plane, then dove below it, dropped its bombs on Sloviansk, and then rose to hide behind the passenger plane again. And she goes on to say, that means it's provocation. And of course, it is provocation. And what you want now is you want drunken boneheads, to obviously shoot at these fighter planes. But of course, even the boneheads aren't that stupid, because they know, you might kill people, and we don't want to do this. Now, here's where it gets interesting. What if I told you that there was an exercise involved around the event that happened on Thursday before it that actually points to how this went down, a military NATO exercise? Don't you hate it when that happens?
I would say this is the Adam Curry I found an exercise segment of the show.
Yes. I would like you to go to newfip.noagendanotes.com. Newfip is NEWFIP. November Echo Whiskey Foxtrot India Papa.
Hold on a second. I got to get a browser working.
Yeah, get a browser.
NEWFIP.
dot noagendanotes.com.
Notes.com. This is why people pay to listen to this show.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cannot find the server at curry.com.
No, it should be noagendanotes.com.
Yeah, that's what I typed in, but this is what came up as the error message. Try it again.
Let me see. New
FIPS.
No S, new FIP.
New FIP, okay, I got that.
Noagendanotes.com. And I get the document.
Notes.com. Noagendanotes.com. Oh, there it is. Okay.
It says new FIP document by Adam Curry. And in there's a PDF.
I'm looking.
And you click on the PDF. And this is in German. Now, luckily, I happen to be able to read some German. But this is...
I can read some German, too.
Good. This is mögliche Störungen der Flugsicherung durch militärische Manöver. And what this relates to, John, is the outages of radar on 2 occasions in Europe. We talked about this on the show.
Oh, right. We talked about this. This is when there was it was kind of a phony scandal.
It actually happened twice. We had it once on, let me go to my notes here. Here we go. June 5th and again on June 10th. It only affected aircraft really above flight level 250 and about a little bit higher than 7 kilometers. So let's just say this really works well at altitude, certainly 32,000 feet and above. Now, if you look at the reports of, and this German report is an official Bundes document, not all planes were affected. For some planes, mode A failed. For some, mode C failed. And the source of the problem was identified at the time as to possibly planes, but certainly ground receivers. The source was not identified. And primary radar was not affected, only transponders. Now, if you look at this document, and I will translate a portion of it, this is regarding the new FIP exercises on between June 2nd and June 6th. So the same period. A new FIP stands for NATO Electronic Warfare Force Integration Period. Electronic warfare is this kind of stuff. I'm translating mit der Übung NUFIP. The NUFIP exercise serves to train methods of electronic warfare. The exercise was conducted in the area of Készkern, this is all Hungary, between June 2nd and June 6th. Participants were the 59th Fighter of Zengurgi 12, the Anti-Aircraft Missile Regiment of Arabona, Air Combat Control, and the 54th Radar Unit Veszprém. And essentially what this document says is this is exactly the type of exercise they were participating in, was jamming radar and spoofing radar signals. And then maybe something went out of control. Maybe someone turned the music up a little too loud. But on the 9th and the 10th, we actually saw civilian aircraft radar as transponders disappearing from radar, which is now pretty much conclusive. We can take that right back to these exercises, June 5th, certainly June 9th, possibly, because the exercise took place between the 2nd and 6th of June. And this is specifically this tactic. Fly within 4 kilometers behind a civilian aircraft. They drilled for this, John. Jam the radar, and then you make the MIL mode available. So it looks like you are either a NATO aircraft or a Ukrainian aircraft or any aircraft you want on the military mode. I believe that either NATO, that would be easy, but it doesn't really matter who. It's not going to be the Germans or anything like that. Probably Ukrainian. Maybe some of the F-18s that we got in Poland. Whoever it was, and you don't need a lot of power, went up there, shadowed this Malaysian aircraft. It was all intentional. They jammed the Mode A, Mode C transponder, broadcasted their Mode MIL transponder code, just sit back 4 kilometers, and then just wait for the target lock, wait for the plane to be lit up by the secondary radar. You're done. That's what I think the likely scenario is. Wow,
that's a good one.
And it fits in with this training. It fits in with
It's with a lot of the conspiracies about the Ukrainian jets shooting it down.
Yes.
But that wouldn't be as a good.
That wouldn't be. It would be kind of far-fetched if they hadn't trained for exactly these scenarios a month ago, and we had the radar blips.
Right.
So these drunken boneheads on the ground, they had a confirmed target. They had a confirmed mode mill target, and they were spoofed. And so, yes, they intended to shoot something out of the sky. No, they were not drunk and like, oh, whatever. They got spoofed. And by the way, in a sophisticated manner. Well done. Well played. So, who did this is kind of irrelevant. It all goes back essentially to Hillary Clinton, the Kagans, the people from Yale, the neocons, John Kerry.
Well, great analysis. Again, of course, only our show does these. And comes up with this sort of thing.
Thank you.
I knew there would be something like this, though. It had to be.
Yeah. Well, when I found, and it was sent to me, of course, when I got the German document, when I was able to connect that to the outages on radar, and then I talked to I've talked to a number of people over the past couple of days, but certainly a lot yesterday. And they said, this is what they trained for. This is the way it would have been done. And, guys who are sitting in these, and actually you need not just two guys, there could be 13 people involved in an SA-11 with all the illumination radars, etc. These are not a bunch of drunken boneheads, okay? It's just bullshit. But this was a good one. This was well done, and it was well executed. The target was carefully chosen by a country that has no army. Oh, here come the Dutch. Wait a minute. We got to find the bullet. It's like the Dutch are not going to invade anybody. And the Dutch are so mind-controlled, I hate to say it, all they can do is, change their icons on Facebook and Twitter and talk about the bodies and nothing else. And the government is not going to do anything because they're deathly afraid of Putin.
Right, and Malaysian Airlines is not a NATO
no,
plane.
Thank you very much.
So you don't need it. NATO can't.
No Americans on the flight, Europeans on the flight. Perfectly chosen, could not be.
And Malaysia's already known as a bonehead operation from the missing plane.
This was a directly targeted, perfectly targeted, well executed false flag. This is a real one, And by the way, I thought it was disgusting, but I have to give the president props.
Let me close by making one additional comment. On board Malaysian Airlines flight MH17, there were apparently nearly 100 researchers and advocates traveling to an international conference in Australia dedicated to combating AIDS.
As you know, Putin hates gays.
Yeah, that was
disgusting.
Even though it was disgusting when you play my clip, MH17 France 24 corrects AIDS researchers' numbers.
Mm-hmm.
On that Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 were a number of AIDS researchers on their way to attend an AIDS conference in Melbourne, Australia. That conference began on schedule this Saturday with a minute of silence to remember the victims. 6 researchers were on board that flight and not around 100 as had previously been reported.
Exactly. Of course. But he said in that same speech there will be misinformation.
Yeah, he's delivering it.
He's so right. Now, let me play a couple more clips because if you really want to know what what's really going on, and I've come to respect and love this guy, not only because he talks with the most incredible accent, but still has an American sounding to it, and sometimes he just goes into this grovelly voice. So it's a between a Kissinger and something else. Zbigniew Brzezinski. He also talks in 45-second sound bites. The guy is phenomenal. Okay.
The best.
So 4 clips. The whole thing is laid out and you understand what's going on. Clip 1, Zbigniew Brzezinski.
We should be aware of the fact that this is truly a historically defining moment. If we do the things we need to do, if we are firm and clear, but also somewhat flexible, we can still give Putin the chance.
We can still give Putin the chance. I have to work on his accent. If we can give him to be somewhat flexible.
This is your Dracula.
Yeah.
To redeem himself and to rejoin the community of nations. We are, in fact, facing the first use of force over territorial issues in Europe since the outbreak of World War II.
Beautifully done!
Putin is doing it. I think he can be persuaded to stop if we stand united. And that means presidential leadership from the United States and consistent continued actions and the European leaders rallying with us.
Okay.
It's a major challenge, but it is defining.
Okay, now it's really his script. He loves this. This guy is so good. And of course, Putin is responsible. The only way that Putin can save himself is he must redeem himself, which of course is never going to happen. But
no, I disagree with that.
Oh, well, hold on.
Well, first of all, I have in mind Putin doing it. That is to say, he can still say that the actions that were taken to shoot down that plane by his thugs with the arms he provided went far beyond anything he intended. And that this was an illegal criminal act, and the people responsible for it will be handed over to the International Tribunal. And he can suspend the military intervention in Ukraine itself, which is a cause of possible conflict between the East and the West as a whole. These are the actions he can undertake. If he fails to undertake them, he is actually challenging the cohesion of the international system and the security of Europe at the same time.
So the entire world peace right now lays in the balance with one man. We call him Putin. He flies an Aeroflat. And we need, and this of course is what this event is about, to get all the European leaders in line. Because who's not playing? Angela Merkel is not playing nice with us here in America.
In fact, I do have a Merkel clip.
Okay, well, let me play Brzezinski, and then we'll play your Merkel clip. Let me set it up. Here's Brzezinski about getting the EU leaders in line.
My sense is that the European public opinion is aroused. This humanitarian issue is so tragic, so painful, so cruel, and so unnecessary that the Europeans are beginning to be moved. Oh. But each of the major European leaders has a role to play. Chancellor Merkel has to face the fact that her predecessor, also a chancellor, was one of the creators of Europe's dependence on Russian energy supplies.
Woo-hoo, right in line with Hillary Clinton.
Does Europe want to become a satellite? I think President Hollande has to face the fact that he cannot now, at this moment,
sell some ships to Russia,
be sending advanced arms to help Russia. Prime Minister,
fuck you, frog.
Mr. Cameron should face the fact that the city of London has become a Las Vegas for Russian financial transactions.
Stop with the hookers
that are self-serving. There are responsibilities these leaders have to face, and they have public opinions, which I think are becoming increasingly aware that this is truly a moment of decisive significance for the future of the system, of the world system.
That's right. Everybody's been blowing Putin, and you got to stop now, unless you want to be. Are you with us, or are you with the bad guys? You can't have.
This is not, this is fine, that he says all this, but I think your original point that you made 10 minutes ago, which is this didn't get the response that they hoped for. There is no outrage in Europe. They're all like, wringing their hands and continuing business as usual.
Currently, yes, exactly. But
Merkel, of course, is key to all this because she's buddies. We always have to remember they met and watched a football game together.
I think they do. They play petting games, actually.
Well, I don't think so, but it's possible. No. Whatever the case is, they're down partying all the time, and they speak to each other's languages, and they're good pals. And so you end up after everybody on our side jumps to conclusion, Merkel, she puts the kibosh on the whole thing with his little commentary here when that's recorded on France 24.
I'm looking forward. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay.
Malaysian Airlines plane.
Evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by a surface-to-air missile that was launched from an area that is controlled by Russian-backed separatists inside of Ukraine. We know that these separatists have received a steady flow of support from Russia.
Whilst the U.S. president took a tough stance against Russia, German Chancellor Angela Merkel held back, pending further investigation.
Regarding sanctions, I'd like to point out that the events with the plane were not even 24 hours ago. And at the moment, we need to sort out an independent investigation. So it's perhaps premature to draw conclusions before we have access to the remains of the plane.
Meanwhile, following a minute's silence at the chamber, the UN Security Council demanded an inquest into the crash of flight MH17.
Yeah. So let me just say, John, I'm only playing what the script is. I'm not saying that it's actually happening or that it's rolling out this way. But this was
I understand.
This is the only thing that they had left because it was not working. No one cared. Now at least we have, and they got to hurry now. Something has to happen now because in 3 days, we already have hundreds of people dead in Syria. It's going to shift, and no one will care. Mickey, my wife is so smart. She was in the tsunami, the Christmas tsunami of 2005 or 6, whatever it was. She was in Sri Lanka, and this is a very horrible experience. And thousands. How many people died in that? Thousands and thousands.
I don't know.
From all countries around the world. And she says, 10 days later, no one fucking cared. No one talked about it anymore. So they got to act. They got to move. They got to go fast.
And by the way, we keep forgetting what this is really all about.
Yeah, Snowden. I gotcha. All right, here's the last Brzezinski clip, and then I have one more. We'll wind it up. This is, he's saying F Russia.
I would say that we're not starting the Cold War. He has started it, but he has gotten himself into a horrendous jam. I strongly suspect there are a lot of people in Russia, even not far away from him, who are worried that Russia's status in the world is dramatically being undermined, that Russia is economically beginning to fail.
You hear now that he's in line with Hillary, where we started off with, the stock market is down. Oh, it's failing. Yeah, it's all bad. It's horrible.
That Russia is threatened by the prospect of becoming a satellite to China.
I like that. That's what we want, satellite to China.
That Russia is becoming self-isolated and discredited. I think there is still maybe a chance that he can reverse course. We ought to emphasize that option, and failing that, do what is necessary, and at the same time try to deal with the other problems on our own if we can. What is the alternative? To let war break out in Europe?
Yes.
To let Russia go on to the Baltic states from Ukraine?
Yes.
To let acts such as these simply be ignored?
Yes.
Is that the choice?
Yes.
Is that the test of leadership?
Yes. I know what's going to happen.
Okay, okay.
There's only one possible way, and it's kind of cool that the Dutch just they finally had that court case settled about the Dutch battalion and saying yes, they were responsible for the death of at least 300 men in Srebrenica. The Dutch band, of course, part of the Blue Helmets, the peacekeeping forces of the United Nations. This is Bosnia-Herzegovina. This is Serbia. This has Blue Helmet peacekeepers written all over it. And if there's any problems, just like Bill Clinton, we'll send some missiles up your ass. Some intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Cruise missiles.
Were there cruise? I thought cruise missiles, right?
We don't launch those other ones.
And that is exactly what our president is good at.
I have 2 words for you: Predator drones.
Exactly. Except there'll be drones because it's a little easier now. It's cheaper. We got those things lined up and ready to go. That is the only outcome, and Russia will go along with it. By the way, I don't think they can veto a Blue Helmet force. I don't think the UN Security Council, I don't think the vetoes work that way. I'm a little unclear.
Well, we can look that up. All I know is that they've got, Putin is like pretty cool.
Putin
is very cool as a cucumber, as it were.
Oh, yeah.
During this whole thing, at least he seems so, but he must be just seething.
He must be pissed.
Because he's being set up.
Uh-huh.
Of course, my theory is because of Snowden. If it wasn't for Snowden, none of this would be happening, but it's just...
No, I'm pretty sure the gas has a little more to do with it, John. Hillary Clinton's been talking about it since 1932.
Well, you can think what you want.
All right. Shall I wind it up on a high note with Professor Cohen?
Yes, please.
The argument now is, the strategic argument, is that Putin can end this. This is preposterous. I mean, you're a historian. I'm a historian. This is a profoundly complicated political, social. If tomorrow Putin went on Russian and Ukrainian television and said, guys in eastern Ukraine, put down your arms, do you really think he would do it? Do you really think they would not? Moreover, and this is the salient point, at the end of June, France, Germany, our allies, and Russia asked the president of Ukraine to continue the ceasefire so there could be negotiations. The government of Ukraine did not. It intensified the war with the backing of Washington. So we are deeply complicit in the horrors that are going on there. Now, the light is maybe this tragedy will bring about a ceasefire where people can talk again.
We shall see. But it is true. The only people who can stop this are Kerry, Kagan, Noodleman, Crystal, a-hole. And until they have what they want, which is complete control over all the resources, which gives them not only control over Russia's financial pipeline, but control over Europe's electricity, they will not rest until they have that. And they will have the United Nations Blue Helmet peacekeepers in there to protect everything and make sure there's order. And it's Bosnia-Herzegovina. It's the same tactic.
Well, that could have been a dry run for this. But you have to say, this is pretty...
It's sophisticated.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one more thing before you greet
I'm done.
me.
Yeah, I'm done.
But I want to play one more thing just to make sure that there was this reminders of this really funny. They keep bringing this up as kind of as a sidebar, which is that we'll just blow stuff out of the sky and we don't ever make any excuses for it. The clip is the MH17 previous incidents.
On July 3rd, 1988, an Iranian airliner with 290 people on board en route from Tehran to Dubai when it was shot down over the Persian Gulf by a missile fired from a U.S. Navy ship. The USS Vincennes had been exchanging gunfire with Iranian gunboats that day and mistakenly took the A330 Airbus for an Iranian fighter jet. And 5 years before that, in September 1983, a Korean passenger plane with 269 on board was shot down by a Russian fighter jet after it accidentally strayed into then Soviet airspace. The Soviet government first denied involvement.
Now, of course, they remind us about the thing we did with the Iranian jet. But they've decided to rewrite history about that South Korean flight.
Yeah,
and I'm noticing this more and more, where they're bringing it back into the storyline, throwing it at the Russians again when it's been long since established that was a spy flight.
Yeah,
illegally flying over Russia, and Russia wasn't going to put up with it.
But we get that cool clip of Reagan. You know, that's what they get to play over and over again.
Right,
and
play the Reagan clip.
I don't have. You have it?
No.
Oh. Crap,
Sorry.
I don't have it. No, I don't have it either. I thought you would have it. Like John will have that. Don't worry about it.
No, I didn't have it.
And
whatever the case is, but they've rewritten that storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the original storyline, of course, because it was it was phony. And then when things over time, took about 10 years before we realized this was a camera mounted on the plane. It was going to go take some pictures of an installation, and so it purposely went into Russia, assuming it wasn't going to get shot down because it had people on board, which is the kind of the situation we're seeing with Hamas and Palestine.
Well,
anyway,
let me close the folder here, closing that out on MH17, and now we ought to do is just see how it plays out. They got to scramble. I think. I'm pretty confident with our analysis of how this took place and how it happened. And you're right. I think Putin's got to be really angry because someone could have seen this coming. Someone could have known based upon those exercises. Some intelligence somewhere should have said, "Oh, geez, be careful."
British Air and Air France knew.
They knew it was going to happen. Yes, they knew something was going to happen. That's why they weren't flying. Anyway, John.
It wouldn't be targeted.
In the morning to you, John C.
In the morning
Dvorak.
to you, Adam Curry. In the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
And in the morning to everyone in the chat room, noagendastream.com. In the morning to our artistes, 20-watt bulb, creating the artwork, which I liked a lot, the typewriter, for episode 635. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can submit and see all of it. We're missing a couple of guys. Nick DeRat didn't even submit this time. Is he so discouraged, or?
I think I think a lot of these guys just burn out.
It does happen. And sometimes you have to burn out and to be able to come back to catch it again.
Concept of withdrawal and return.
What is that? The what concept?
Toynbee. Arnold Toynbee, his study of history, has all these historical...
How do I write the name Toynbee?
Toynbeean, I would think, but he actually has two E's at the end of his name, so it could be Toynbeean.
Toynbee. You know what I hate? I hate when Arnold J. Toynbee, right? I hate it when you're used to typing something into the browser right in the title bar, because that will typically take you to Google search. But then somehow Time Warner, because of course it's a new setup and I got to figure out how to change it. Time Warner then goes, "Oh no, that's not a website. Here's our search engine." And you get like some fucking stupid Time Warner search. Thanks, dickheads.
Huh.
That's not going to help. You know, I don't.
How are they doing? How did they patch into your browser?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Seems like seems a bit intrusive.
Well, I think I can rejack that in the browser somewhere. Of course, it's intrusive, dickheads. Hey, anyway, in the morning, also to our dames and knights, of course. Thank you so much for supporting us. Our baronets, barons, dukes, grand dukes, and our producers. This program, the analysis we do for you, is only made possible by your donations to the program. We have no commercial interest. We take no advertising. This is where we would normally talk about PBS and NPR, but we're not going to do that now. we're just going to thank some people.
Yeah. Let's start with Daniel Horowitz in Van Nuys, California, which is the actual world capital of the porn industry. $333.33 in the morning. John and Adam have been listening for just over a year now and can no longer stand the stench of my own douchebaggery.
Ooh.
Please accept this executive producership as a token of my appreciation for your insightful analysis and hard work.
Thank you.
Just about every time you are reading this, about the time you're reading this, I'll be running my custom-built Porsche 944 battery car.
Wow.
Against a Tesla and other EVs at the Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca.
Oh.
I drove up north.
Cool.
And I please get an amazing bingo boom shakalaka and a little karma for car number 33.
Yeah, you need to take a picture of that thing, man. And do you have a No Agenda sticker on it or something, please?
Yeah, get some No Agenda stuff on there.
This battery car powered by No Agenda Karma. Or something like that.
Oh my God, that is amazing!
Bingo, boom, boom, chakalaka, boom, 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 chakalaka, boom, boom.
You've got karma.
Thank you so much for your triage of threes.
Yes. And now?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. I'm sorry. Hey, wait a minute. I got to figure out. This is weird. I don't know why this happens every single time. Here we go. I got it.
And here it is, another donation from the Grand Duke of the USA, Sir David Foley.
David Foley, Sir David Foley, Grand Duke of the United States, the boss. San Jose, California, 33333. ITM from the road. Please send me some of that NA Karma, hoping to ward off stray missiles on my flight home. Donating via the PayPal mobile app, so I can hope this makes it. So I hope it makes it. Okay. looking forward to Pilot Adam's analysis on Sunday.
Yes, and again, I will point out this is a lot of people help with this analysis, and a lot of military people and people in EW, as we call it in the biz.
The biz. EW.
You've got karma.
Yes, in the analysis biz, we call it EW for electronic warfare. Thank you very much, Sir David.
I'd be interested to see if that particular analysis, which is one of your best, I would put in your top 5.
Oh, thank you.
And you did, and you also dramatized it well.
An hour and a half, I think I took to get all the way through it.
You took took a long time, but it was good. It wasn't like you have done these long analyses before, but they're no offense. But occasionally they get kind of dull.
Oh no, it's okay. That's when you usually.
This one was actually always exciting.
Well, you know what's Go ahead.
Moved right along and had a nice punchline, and it wrapped well. It was real dramatic in the way it was done without it being corny dramatic.
And you know what's always so when I'm doing these things, because of course I'm really only talking to you. I'm always thinking, because of course I can't see you. This is not a video show. And I'm always thinking, oh, is he rolling his eyes? Did I hear him shuffle? Is he going to say, oh, this is boring, move on with it? That's my fear.
Which I will do.
Of course you will. Which I'll skip this clip. I am performing actually for you.
Well, yeah, that's what we do for each other. We do this. This is what we do. This is where the show works. It's like the two of us. You tend to hit more of these than I do. Sometimes I can top you with a little observation.
Since I'm a bottom, I like that.
But that's not possible with something like this, because this is too much work was put into it. Unless I had somebody giving me a call the day before and says, hey, here's what really happened, which has not happened. Nobody does that. All our analysis, which is why we're kind of safe from prying eyes, is all done with public domain information.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Hello? Hey, man, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
No.
Tell me.
It's like this.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
That's what we get. So it's not like, anyone could do this.
Yeah. In fact, journalists sometimes get paid to do this.
Yeah, they get paid more than we do.
It's a crazy world, isn't it?
They get paid more than we do, but we do get paid by people like Thomas Butterick in Dayton, Ohio, who sent a check in and a note, handwritten note. And it's not like longhand, but it's printed, but he's got this, he's like either an architect. You know how the way certain people they print a certain kind of a block letter that is very slick looking that you'd find either on a cartoon bubble or in an architectural drawing?
Yeah.
That's what he's got.
Oh, cool.
Dearest Anna and Jane.
What?
Anna and Jane. You'd be Anna.
Are we accepting these names? Is this
I don't care. For 33333, yes.
Go ahead. You can call me bitch.
I'd like to make a birthday donation. Oh, you got to write this down.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh boy.
My birthday donation. I would have actually sent this to Eric, but
I didn't know I needed a pen and paper for this show.
Yes. Okay. I'd like to make a birthday donation in honor of my Deutschbag brother.
I don't have a jingle for Deutschbag.
But he says, give him the douchebag. He must be some reason.
Douchebag.
He'll be 30 on the 19th. He and his wife just had their first human resource, and I'm sure his donations will be diverted to diapers and schnapps for his sanity.
What is his brother's name?
I'm trying to find it. My plan to call him on stage for my niece's college fund went down in flames. At least I can subsidize his executive producership to the best podcast in the universe. Happy birthday, scumbag. He hit me in the mouth in December, and I haven't forgiven him since. Keep up the stellar work. No, there's no mention of his name. He just Samuel. Oh. He mentioned right at the beginning.
Oh, hello.
His Deutschbag brother Samuel.
It's his Deutschbag scumbag brother Samuel.
Yeah,
who turned 30 on the 19th. Okay, got it.
Okay, now he wants a request. He wants a little girl shut up slave Italian version.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Kiki, and then a jingle of your choosing.
Okay, so little girl shut up Italian. Then a...
By the way, I have to say one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
He has got a signature that I should scan in and send to you just to look at it. It is like a... It's very... This has got to be an architect or something. This is a very artistic scribble. It's like, wow. I don't know how you can even do what he did. I expect more handwritten letters from Thomas Butterick in Dayton, Ohio. All right.
Okay.
So we want to...
Yep.
Shut up, slave! Stai zitto, schiavo!
Shut up already! It's science!
Hello? Hello, safety? This is Liberty calling. F*** off, douchebag!
You've got karma.
That was one of my favorites.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I like that one.
Okay. Anonymous from Brooklyn, 26570, be associate executive producer for show 636. Sending confirmation of my first knighthood and placing myself 33% along a second one, requesting general karma for you guys and then for myself, double karma, please. Sir Anonymous from Brooklyn, after the knighting ceremony, please keep up the great analysis and do not despair for the doldrums of summer when it comes to donations. We're all still here, listening, and sometimes donating.
Oh, all right. And we will be crowning thee, Sir Anonymous from Brooklyn, in our knighting ceremony later. Thank you very much. Here's a double karma for you.
You've got karma.
You've got karma. Double time.
Emily Bullinger in Santa Clarita, California, down south, $201. Longtime subscriber, first-time producer. Please visit EmilyAC.com, EMILYAC.com, for my plan to achieve world peace.
Aww.
Backed by the I Declare World Peace Organization. For more information, read the Overmind comic on the website. Please feel free to ogle my pretty pictures and read my blog and see my comedy links also on EmilyAC.com. Help fund my plan for world peace. Play the Overmind game. Oh, it's just something on our website.
Something on our website.
Yeah. John, save us from the masters.
God, my wife is so sexy. She's walking around in black hot pants.
John and Adam, please save us from the evil masters. Let's unite for world peace. And she's the crazy Chantix chick. She apparently
Chantix. Oh, really? She was on. She's the crazy Chantix kid chick. Yeah. Oh.
Well, she didn't ask for any, but I think we should give her some karma.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the website's pretty interesting.
You've got karma.
All right. And does that conclude our broadcast day, Mr. Dvorak?
And that concludes our small list of contributors for the producerships. Show 636. Go to Dvorak.org/NA. We do have a show coming up on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Today is Sunday, as I recall.
Yes,
and
correct.
Dvorak.org/NA, channel Dvorak.com/NA. The No Agenda show and the No Agenda Nation websites both have buttons you can push.
And these are actual credits, executive producer and associate executive producer credits. You can use them wherever credits are accepted. And unlike the douchebags in Hollywood, we will gladly vouch for you if someone ever questions the validity of your producer credit.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Obviously, we always need people to be out there doing the work of propagating our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
I'm in deep trouble, John.
Okay, good.
And I'm not. I got to share this with you because I'm in deep trouble.
Somebody spoofing you?
Well, I lived in Jersey, right, for many years. My daughter was born in Jersey.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a Google alert set up for yourself?
No, I don't, as a matter of fact.
And so I guess I set one up a long time ago, but nothing ever comes through, ever. Once in a while, there's some basketball player, some kid in like a college player whose name is Adam Curry.
Yeah, there should be.
And then the kid all of a sudden,
and there's
but that's about
famous Stephen Curry out here in the Warriors.
Well, but Adam Curry. Okay, we're talking about Adam Curry.
Okay, Adam Curry.
So I get a lone Google alert yesterday. And I'd like you to go to the Googles, and I will give you, and I want you to Google these 3 words. Ready?
Yeah.
Adam Curry heroin.
Okay.
And what do you get?
What? Oh, sorry. I'm using the.
Are you on the repeater?
I'm on the repeater.
Are you on the D-Star? What are you trying to do?
New Jersey brothers face gun drug charges?
Yeah, that would be it.
It's Brian Curry and Adam Curry.
Yes, the brothers, 2 brothers from Wayne, New Jersey, arrested for heroin, multiple gun and drug charges. I'm going to be on a list.
Probably. You've been on a list before.
It's just not good. And he looks nothing like me.
No, they look like Hispanics.
But how does it, who names their kid Adam Curry? This is not good. It's me.
You are Adam Curry.
Yeah, you wouldn't think there'd be a whole bunch of other Adam Currys roaming around.
They're probably starting to grow up now. So you were what age when you were famous?
From my 19th through my...
What year was this? Let's go back that way.
I started in television in the Netherlands, and while I was famous from the radio, pirate radio.
No. I'm talking about
MTV?
Famous, United States famous, MTV famous.
1987.
Okay, so 1987. So if we add, say people were, Adam Curry, so gorgeous. Let's name our kid Adam Curry in 1987. It would have been born through probably 1987 to 1990. And that means they're now 30, 19, 11, 12.
No, but here's what I don't get. So you have the last name Curry, right? That's possible. Lots of people named Curry, Indian people, and then you have a kid, and like, what are we going to call him? I don't know. Let's get to look at some names. Like, let's call him Adam. Any other famous Adams? That's what you go look for, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that'd be you.
Yeah, but
this kid is exactly right in the ballpark.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. We'll name him after the VJ. Who does that?
Well, apparently people who raise heroin addicts.
Thank you.
You answered your own question.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Adam Curry Physiotherapy is a business.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had one of our producers was in town yesterday.
Okay.
I think it was Rich Leitner, I think.
Rich Lightning?
Leitner. I think he's the guy who donated for his grandson, but then he screwed up the date. Remember he got...
it became a fiasco.
It was more of a fiasco because apparently then after I read his note, which we're not supposed to read because it was so funny, and then we corrected his mistake, and then instead of calling the kid Harrison, I called the kid Harold.
Harrison?
Yeah, the kid's first name is Harrison, but they called him Harold. So he was like, his daughter hates him now. I think his daughter had to run away to Austin. Okay, well, that's it. I don't think there's anything else going on.
Yes, there's something.
No, geez.
Something we're overlooking.
No, there's plenty of stuff. Unfortunately,
we need to be talking about PBS. I've been writing it down.
Well, I don't have all the articles handy, but here's what it is. Really, you really want to talk about this? I find it kind of tedious and boring. But okay, there are guidelines.
How often do we put it in the book?
All right, so here I'm going to Google it right now. NPR underwriter guidelines. Okay, these are the guidelines.
We talked about this.
No, we talked about this off the show. The show, okay? And I have the PDF, the guidelines for underwriting. So when you hear support for this program is brought to you by, is provided by, and then they're only supposed to say the name of the underwriter. But these days, it's so much more. Like, they provide the best service, but the guidelines actually are... the underwriting credits must contain, this is for NPR, the legal name of the underwriter to be read immediately after the standard opening phrase, support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and. That's interesting. You have to say member stations. So we just go to a random NPR story and just listen to how they do their support thingamabobby?
You could do that.
Okay, so let me just find a random one. This is the Monty Python Reunion show. I'm just grabbing a random story. Oh, crap. I don't have it plugged in, do I? Oh, shit.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not okay. This is why I didn't want to do the story, because I'm not ready for it. Because, we have no production elements.
Well, why don't you read the
why don't you read it?
I don't have it in front of me. You have it right there.
You can Google it.
Because there's the one thing in there that got me was they're not supposed to do an ad, and it's not supposed to have call for action. So I'm listening to Wait, Don't Tell Me, which is a show I listen to on the way to the post office on Saturdays when I go get the mail.
Do you have a clip?
No. So I drive down. I'm moving it along since you want to get the story out of the way, and I didn't get a clip. That's the real reason.
Okay.
But whatever the case, I'm listening, and they have a 1-800 number that they deliver.
Well,
isn't that a call to action when you give somebody a 1-800 number or even a website?
Let's listen. I have Wait, Don't Tell Me, and this would be the most recent one, I presume. Let's see if this is the web, so this is not really... Is this how it starts?
From NPR and WBEZ Chicago, this is Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm tender-loving anchorman Bill Curtis. And here is your host at the North...
They don't have a sponsor there.
Well, they're not giving them. Maybe it would be...
Maybe it's not on the web.
I don't know when they do it. Whatever the case is, they give a call to action with a phone. I mean, it just seems to me they're abusing... There's not enough that they get free money from the government and then they get corporations to give them boatloads of money. And then they beg for money.
So credits may also include the following: non-promotional, value-neutral descriptions of organization, products, and services. This is non-promotional, value-neutral. Names of operating divisions and subsidiaries, organization mission language that identifies and does not promote or state an opinion, establish slogans verbatim that identify and do not promote, non-promotional location information, so they are allowed to use phone number or website address, duration of time and business, and mention of particular NPR programming supported. Credits may not contain promotional language, including qualitative language, which would be favorable qualities, benefits, and claims.
The best.
That's right. That is.
They do that.
Well, comparative language like leader, largest, the only, exclusive, ranked number one, that is not allowed. Price and value information, not allowed. Inducement language, reward programs, warranties, portions of purchase donated to charity, vehicle donation programs, which, by the way, I hear all the time on NPR. Holiday mentions related to sales of products. See, I'm going to stop this because this would be a good segment if I had some examples of them breaking their own rules.
Now from now on, we'll work on examples. I just wanted to clear it off the deck.
Yeah, and PBS is even more stringent. So yeah, this is a dumb idea. Syria. Yeah, why not?
How is that more interesting?
Syria. Okay, you go.
Can't be Syria.
You go then.
Oh, well, now you got me flat-footed. Thanks. Very funny.
Screw it. Agenda 21.
This was coming, but certainly controversial too. Australia's Senate has voted to scrap the country's tax on carbon emissions. The abolition of the tax was one of the main pillars of Prime Minister Tony Abbott's election campaign last year. Australia is one of the world's biggest carbon emitters per head of population, and critics say the move is a backward step.
You voted to scrap the tax in September last year, and today the Parliament finally listened. Today the tax that you voted to get rid of is finally gone. A useless, destructive tax which damaged jobs, which hurt families' cost of living, and which didn't actually help the environment is finally gone.
Well, there you go.
It's about time.
It is possible. That's pretty impressive.
Well, the Australian public was always against that, and they hated what's-her-name for putting it in play because she promised not to.
Yeah, she said no way, and Gillard.
Yeah, Gillard.
And then she face-planted herself. Remember that? That was cool. That was the funniest.
I want to do a historical thing.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember when we first picked up on the 33 meme?
Oh, my goodness. No, I don't. Long time ago.
Well, it has to be after 2009, because here is a clip from the show in 2009, and you'll see why. Obviously, we had not picked up on it yet, but it's funny how it inched its way in anyway.
And it's just loud. It's just this loud music, and there's all kinds of cool people around. The lights are dimmed, and then you have to go. And then there's 2 elevator banks. If you're going to the 33rd floor, then you have to walk around the original elevator bank and get on there. If not, you have to go around and behind that elevator bank to another elevator bank until you finally get up to your room.
What? I don't remember this story at all.
You were talking about your stay at the W Hotel in New York. You were in New York at the time of this podcast.
Okay.
And you were bitching about the 33rd floor being where you have to change elevators. And you never said anything about 33. And I have to assume now that the 33 meme that we picked up on came
after that. Okay, that makes sense. How did you... Now, you didn't actually go through the archives of all of our shows, did you?
I am going through the archives of a set of shows.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
But
it's going to take me a while. I'm going through a set of shows. Are you
bored? I mean, do you have time on your hands?
There's only 4 shows that I'm looking at.
Do you have the mumps or measles and you have nothing better
No, I'm looking for, and I'll get, if you want the fair warning, Israeli moon bases.
No way, you cannot find it. It is. I said moon bases. I said space elevators, but I never said Israeli moon bases.
Can I go look?
Yeah, you archivist.
A lot of cool stuff that obviously you're going to forget most of this because this was 2009.
It's episode 1. What is the episode number?
I'm not going to say because I don't want you isolating this and then somehow screwing with the archives.
It's episode 133.
Could have been. There's another 33.
Interesting enough.
We got other kind of funny stuff from this episode. Play my favorite one, which is...
What, are we doing retrospectives now? Oh, God. Okay.
This is okay, I'll just play. I have 2 of these. I'll only play one. This is the best clip algae.
The
oldie best clip algae.
Oh, okay. They see this. I was looking for a T. Got it.
Just play what we're doing here with the Volt at General Motors, with the new battery storage, the hybrids. We drove in a car the other day, Congressman Inslee and Israel and I went from California to Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
On algae. On algae. You know how you grow the algae? You pump a bunch of CO2 in it, and it grows the algae. So here you have an opportunity to make cars that run on algae, grow the algae in places like Ohio that unfortunately, or maybe fortunately at some point, give off all this CO2, grow the algae, put it in cars, and we have a clean economy.
We're saved! We are completely saved!
That's right. And my car, I'm got to go fill up on some algae right after the show.
Anyway, the show we're doing here, I want to remind people, is filled with this sort of thing. Nonstop. We've been doing it for 7 years, and we have nothing but clips like this. And when you go back and listen to, even though I think the old shows you shouldn't be listening to, but I just want to remember the algae story.
That's pretty good.
What happened? That's 2009. Everything should have been fixed by now.
It should be running on algae. And wasn't that Bill Gates? Who was that again? I forget.
No, I forgot who it was, but he was some. That's the problem is I don't have the red book in front of me sometimes the identification's in the book.
Right.
But it was some guy who had been floating around some congressman, and they were going to fix everything, and they came up with his algae car.
But I remember,
and by the way, there was a stock that was mentioned.
He drove with somebody.
Yeah, he drove with some congressman.
Right.
Coast to coast.
That's hilarious.
Anyway,
that's you know what? Carry on. Good work.
Yes, well, I'll probably have another one of these as I go through. It's tedious to listen to the show for me. I did the show. This is the problem. When you do a show, to go listen to the show, and then you find certain annoyances that were galling you back at
I have the
5
same
years
thing.
ago.
Yeah, I have
and then you go,
I find I can barely listen to myself, even right after the show. Just editing, I have a problem with it.
Yeah,
and then it's people don't really understand. It's very annoying.
It's annoying and difficult.
Yeah, also because you know what's coming.
And back then in 2009 when we were doing the show, there was a lag. We had our latency issues.
Oh crap! Yeah,
and it's like
right. And you would have to time all your jokes differently. And then when we solved the latency issue, then all your jokes sucked because you were still on the lag.
Exactly. You noticed.
Oh, by the way, a correction. I would like, or not a correction, a confirmation. And actually, I need to a number of people sent this to me, that it was indeed Harry Reid who spoke of the 5 white men who did the for the Hobby Lobby case. Here it is.
You know, we have so much to do this month, but the one thing we're going to do during this work period, sooner rather than later, is to ensure that women's lives are not determined by virtue of 5 white men. And
indeed, Clarence Thomas is very confused, because I looked at the opinion from the New York Times, the paper of record, and it was 4 white guys and 1 black guy, not 5 white guys.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
Yeah.
So Harry Reid doesn't know what he's talking about. I have an email I have to read, because I have to discuss this with you.
Okay.
This came in from a guy who is Mike C., bitching about the harmonica. Not bitching about my playing of the harmonica.
Just the harmonica as an instrument in general, or?
No. Here's what he says, and this is what concerned me.
Okay.
Would you please consider retiring the harmonica from the show? And there's the reason. It's not because I suck at it, but it is painfully loud. I listen to the show on my commute using earbuds, which is illegal in most states, I might add. You shouldn't be listening. You should be listening to your speakers. And frequently at highway speeds, so he's got it turned way up. I want to keep listening to the show, but I don't want to suffer hearing damage in the process.
Okay.
Now, is the harmonica coming in over mic'd, or what's the deal? Because I'm not up against a mic playing.
Well, let me answer this. Do you know when sometimes we have a technical issue, or something's not working, I'm trying to fix it, and then you will sometimes play the harmonica, and then I usually wind up saying, "Stop fucking doing that!" Something like that.
Yeah, that's what you usually do.
It's because the sound of the harmonica is so piercing. And I think if you could, can you do like a Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles thing with your hand, like that a little bit?
Well, I could cover. I mean, that's
back off. You need to back off.
I am a mile away from the mic right now.
Just back off.
How about pointing the harmonica soundboard away from the mic?
Anything, please.
Everyone hates me. And this guy hates me, obviously. Let me read on.
All right. Oh, there's more. Oh, boy.
He's got the harmonica thing out of the way. His bitch about the harmonica is done. So he says, he decides he's got the email and might have my attention, which he did. So he decides to complain more. Also, he says,
does this guy donate, or?
I don't know that he did.
I doubt it.
I think he did.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have his number in front of me.
All right.
Also, I don't know if it's shtick. A little showbiz talk there. But you are quite insultingly dismissive of Adam at times. Clearly, this isn't a problem to Adam. As I flip the page over, or he would have said something to you about it.
Is this a letter or an email? Because you flipped the page, or you printed it out.
Yes.
Okay.
But to a producer like me, so he does contribute, you come off as a complete dick. I thought you were supposed to be the buzzkill, not the asshole.
Can I comment?
Then he goes, these are my only 2 complaints, and aside from those 2 points I have to show, I looked forward to this great show. Anyway, go on.
So first of all, thank you for your courage of writing that letter to John. No. In fact, we had our producer Rich and his buddy Jim in town yesterday, and they snuck up on us at the market. We were back at the Austin market doing our groceries, and I hear an "in the morning." I'm like, oh, okay, in the morning. And it's funny, Mickey immediately felt very drawn. He said, "Oh, these are good guys. We should have coffee with them." And Rich and Jim are both professors, both lawyers, and they are librarians. And I think Rich runs the legal library in the University of Lincoln, Nebraska, and Jim runs the legal library in the University of Virginia. What's a college there?
University of Virginia.
No. Different.
Richmond. University of Richmond.
No. It's like Boys and Girls, Will and Smith or something.
Oh, William and Mary.
William and Mary. Yes. So these like educated dudes, right? And dudes. And I said, oh, well, that's cool because, you know, I'm a law group. He says, oh, yes. And by the way, 80% of the time you're right on the money, which is a huge compliment, of course, for me just being like a groupie of law. And Rich, Jim's not a listener, not yet, but Rich is. And he loves you. He's like, oh man, I would buy every magazine John wrote in back when hard drives were made of wood. And sometimes I'd throw the magazine out. I wouldn't even read the rest, only read John's column. But he said, what you guys have is some magical formula. And it's true, which only happens once. The second time in my lifetime, I had a radio partner in the early 80s, 80.
Yeah, you've gone on about this before.
Yeah, I've gone on and on. Exactly. So you're being dismissive. This is exactly what you do.
That's exactly what I did.
Exactly what you do.
I was being a dismissive dick because I've heard this story so many times.
And what is interesting is I actually need that in a partner. I need someone to be dismissive. Yes, I need that.
Let me just say this. I do too. Even though as a writer, you can't really, I have co-written with people and I can do it and I don't mind doing it. And I like collaboration. I've always been good at it. I like working. That's why I like working in media, because most media works better with collaboration. Two guys working together, even though you have to split the money, two guys working
Which, by the way, I think about that all the time too. If only that fucking guy was dead, all the money would be mine.
Yes, this is a problem, but except for splitting money. But in fact, the product was make twice as much, essentially.
I just fell over.
So you don't really split the money; you get twice as much.
And then there's the deep honesty that you have. This is what people don't understand. This program is no good without that. So but even in real life, I had to learn this about John. It takes a minute. You know, luckily we have a whole country between us and Skype connections. You know, I'd have to beat him in the face sometimes. But you'll say, that's stupid. I'll say, like, you know, Mickey and I were really in love and we feel, oh, soulmates, you're so stupid. That's John. But it's important for the program. We'd never get anywhere. Otherwise, it's all just fluff. What do you want? Two people jerking each other off? We are the Lennon and McCartney of podcasting, people. We are the Simon and Garfunkel of radio. What else do we have?
Well, that's one way of looking at it. So I had two encounters. Now that you mentioned the go in the morning thing, I had one in the post office on yesterday. A guy catches me opening the mailbox, and I gave him in the morning. He says, "Hey."
Was he wearing American flag patches?
No, he just looked like some guy from the area.
Oh, okay.
But he, was apparently a listener. But then the other one, which was last week, I went to Fry's in Concord.
Yeah.
And a guy, Indian, I might add.
Oh, wait, hey, you are already talking about me being such a cheap bastard.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have an Indian accent, so I couldn't mock that. But he said, Are you? One of those, John, I love your stuff. I love the No Agenda show. And so meanwhile, Eric DeShill is with me. So is my daughter. Eric, of course, every time this happens, he talk about rolling your eyes.
Right.
And then he's like got that look on his face and he's just rolling his eyes.
Wait a minute, how about Jay? Does she go, oh God, someone actually cares about my dad. Oh my God, I'm horrified. I just like to die. I'd like the earth to open up and I'd like to fall into a hole right now.
She doesn't really, no. She's pretty cool. She's gotten over that.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so this guy's going on, and then I said, you get irked by my hounding the Indians in India mostly for being cheapskates.
Yes.
And he says, oh yeah, that's right, you do that. I said, but you're an Indian that's American Indian. They're Indian American, so you wouldn't count in that complaint.
Oh.
He says, oh yeah, that's good. And then I said, which really got Eric going, I said, so can we get a discount?
Excellent. Good
and the
work.
guy says, I never got his name. The guy says, no, there is an employee discount. Oh, no, wait, there's some. All the products at Fry's, apparently some of them are discountable on the spot. And I think those are the ones that they have on Amazon that are cheaper because Fry's claims to be able to match prices. I said, oh, that's great. So we went to get something, and I said, you have a card? He says, oh, no, I'll go, it's back there, I'll go get it. And then I said, and I'll get you the discount. And then he just disappeared from the face.
Never came back.
just gone.
Is this our tech segment?
Is it?
No, I think so. Is there a new phone out?
Let me think. No.
No, then there's no tech news. Damn.
No tech
Damn
news.
it. Although I did find out something cool yesterday.
Cool?
Well, cool. Interesting.
Okay.
So we're in the new house.
We don't have a theme for this tech segment.
We need a jingle.
Yes, please.
And it has to contain the following elements. Is there a new phone out? No, there's no tech news. That's basically it. Although I was reading Mike Elgin's Google Plus post, and there's a huge problem with the wearables.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The wearable apparently doesn't know when you're in the movie theater, and it lights up all the time. So he's got his watch, and it's like beaming all this light, and he couldn't turn it. He had to put his watch in his pocket.
I have a solution to this that's easier than the watch in the pocket.
Yeah, don't wear the stupid watch.
Well, besides that's number one. But number two,
gaffer tape. I know, it's your go-to thing, gaffer tape.
Gaffer's tape is the greatest product ever invented.
Really, you can fix a broken limb with gaffer tape.
You could.
Yeah, it's like you got a bullet wound, gaffer tape that. I got rear-ended the other day. Oh,
Did you fix the bumper with gaffer's tape?
I have to because, so I'm turning left here. I'm on the new, going to the house early in the morning because the Time Warner guy's coming. And it had just rained. And when it just rains in Texas, it's just like it rained in California. You know what's going to happen.
People slide around?
Yep. And so I'm waiting to go left. I'm in the left-hand lane. Click, 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 click. And then poof. And, of course, I had my foot on the brake, and it was a pretty good one. I feel, oh, crap, someone ran into me. So I hop out. And the first thing I always say is, are you okay, man? I said, and I'm looking at myself. I'm okay. Are you okay? And this car is destroyed. I mean, it's a little Toyota thing. It's an old, 2000. The hood is, like pop tent. There's fluid leaking. And two Mexicans hop out. I'll say it. It's funny because I told my guy here, he said, Mexicans? I said, yeah. Oh. And I look, and so my rear bumper is I mean, it's not, it's dented. It's, it's a truck, so it's not horrible, but it's ugly now. And the left tailpipe, the connector is broken. And I'm like, oh. He said, oh, man, I can fix this for you. I can come. I said, wait a minute. He says, I got no insurance. Oh, jeez. Oh. And I go, okay. He says, I just bought the car, and all I got is $200. You got $200 cash? Yeah, I'll take it. I took $200 off of him. Give that to me.
It's good. You robbed him.
Cash. Get out of here. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So now the only thing we had to do is hang up the TV. And I can do a lot of things, but I'm really not good with the stud finder and just the brackets. This is not what I do.
Right. You have to find a stud to hang up a TV.
Yeah, and and it's the TV that we got from David Foley. It's the
50-inch 4K.
Yeah, it's a big TV. It's so I got to hang it up.
It's not a big heavy one though. If you got some of these sets are really heavy.
But you got to do this. You got to make it straight and of course.
Did you buy one of those bracket things that holds the TV?
Yeah, I got the bracket thing and everything.
And moves it around. So you move it around.
I got all that. And there's actual cable hole in the wall so you won't have any cables dropping.
Nice.
Yeah. And but I'm not going to do this. So. And then Mickey's on my case. He's like, okay, everything's done now except for the TV. I'm like, oh, shit, yeah. So what do you do?
Put it on a table.
No. I figured I'd call Geek Squad.
Oh, God.
But I Google Geek Squad Austin, and up pops Geekatoo.
What?
Yeah, these guys have SEO'd Geek Squad. Geekatoo, like cockatoo.
They've SEO'd the Geek Squad.
Yeah, so you get, and if you Google Geek Squad, it says, Geekatoo, 75% cheaper than Geek Squad. I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And a dude named Ben came by, and it was like $100 or something. And, he spent some time, did everything perfect. Perfect. Geekatoo. Never heard of him. It's a stupid name.
Well,
but I like the whole SEO thing where I went for Geek Squad, and also, and I was talking to the guy. His name is Chris Beard, and oh, yeah, he had a beard. And he's talking about how Geek Squad pays the guys $12 an hour, but Geekatoo, he says 90% of the fee comes to the guy who's doing the work, and they basically just paying like a commission.
Oh, the Uber
setup. Yes, and he brought his little helper and everything, so it was cool. I was very impressed. And that's your tech news. We had no other news. Now, I have to give you some mad-ass props.
Uh-oh. This is weird.
Oh, hold on a second. Mickey, that's not yet. She's mad now because she thinks I did her voice and it sucked.
When did you do her voice?
Just a minute ago, apparently. Like I said, honey, we have to do the TV. All right.
It wasn't that bad.
I didn't think so either.
Mimi gets really irked when I do her voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't I say she looked hot in her black hot pants, and now I don't get any. Oh, thanks,
but that's
honey.
just sexist.
Yeah, I should have got you, sexist pig. Mad props for you, my friend. You called it. You called it early. You called it loud. You called it correctly. You are on. You are the Mac Daddy, the bomb diggity of calling Pocahontas Liz Warren as the candidate. Holy crap! I mean, holy crap! I got 2 clips here, which are long of nature, but oh my God, John, how did you know this? Are you on some committee or something?
I'm on the picking committee.
Are you on some secret ballot committee?
No, I saw it walking down Broadway.
So have you heard the Run Liz?
By the way, I've been very good at picking candidates.
You are extremely
I picked Sarah Palin, and before I ever heard her talk, which was the mistake I made.
You did.
But I still picked her.
Have you seen or heard the Run Liz Run song?
Oh, no.
Americans want our next president to be a woman. Hey, babe, here's looking at you, Senator Elizabeth Warren. The planet is warming and the power is shifting. We need a leader who won't stand for all the Wall Street bullshit. The lobby is grifting. Run, 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 Liz, run. You gotta run for the office and get the job done. Run, 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 Liz, run. We need a president. We need President Warren. A president. We need President Warren. You shoot straight and tell the truth that we've been chipped, squeezed, and hammered. People think that the system is rigged because it is, and it's time that we stand up.
How good is this, huh?
Been cheated and broken.
And there's pictures of people with those silly election hats that say, "Run, Warren for president." And there's a lot of people doing this. Is big, John. This is big, big, big. There's money here. And I'm sorry.
Well, she does have one of the best campaign fundraising organizations around it.
She was at this. This came in late last night that I saw it. This is, by the way, is all under the heading Hillary 2016. She was at the Netroots Nation. Are you familiar with this?
Oh, yeah. Every year this thing happens.
What is this? What is this thing, this Netroots Nation?
I usually watch it online. It is the
9th annual gathering.
It's usually in New York. Where was it? Was it
Detroit?
Okay. Oh, weird.
Even better. No, of course. Detroit is where you want this. All the people have no water.
Cheaper. Yeah.
Cheaper.
So it is it's
cheaper.
It's cheaper. It's where a bunch of online Democrats mostly go and grouse and say what they're going to do, and they all get all jacked up about certain grassroots
issues. Well,
grassroots issues. Roots, I think, is what's grassroots.
Elizabeth Warren, I think this was her speech. This was the one.
Oh, now, she gave the speech.
She gave the speech. Now, President Barack Obama had hope and change, right?
Right, and he actually gave his speech in 2004 at the convention, then he was the elected president in 2008. Right. So his speech was, and when I saw his speech, by the way, I did the same thing in 2004. I said, "This is the next, next candidate, probably the next president."
Well, this speech is the candidate speech. And by the way, when Dave Weiner tweets that he'll vote for Elizabeth Warren, then I know that. Then I know we're all.
That's a hook, line, and sinker guy.
By the way, that is tech news. That's
Dave Weiner.
Dave Weiner. He said, "I will vote for Elizabeth Warren." That is tech news. Now,
and he will.
This is the "We Believe" speech.
We believe.
It's rather long, but I feel it is worth it. Because
if it gets boring, I'll tell you.
Of course you will. But you're going to love it because she just, imagine this. This is the meeting. We're going to take every single issue, everything, and we're just going to say what people want to hear by saying, we believe that. So I'll give you an example. We believe that children should not be smuggled across the border, but they should be helped and integrated with the path to citizenship. I'll give you an example. We believe that Putin should be shut up. We believe, let's take it home. Let's take it to a local level. We believe that all packets should be equal.
Could I ask a question?
Please do.
Does she have a mouse in her pocket? Who's the we? Is it the royal we?
Oh, it's the progressives. She says it's time for real progressive issues. Should we just play?
Yeah, play.
We have to talk about what does it mean to be a progressive. We have to talk about what does it mean to be an American. So let's spend a minute talking about what we believe. We believe that Wall Street needs stronger rules and tougher enforcement, and we're willing to fight for it. Woo! We're willing to fight for it. We believe in science, and that means that we have a responsibility to protect this earth, and we will fight for it.
That was my favorite. That hooked me.
In science. Is it a faith thing? What if?
Oh yeah, no. That is so heavy. What she just said. We believe in science, i.e., fuck global religion. Warming. Yeah, no. Of course, it's global warming. But we won't stand for morons who believe in God or any other faith. We believe in science. Science is your religion. This woman is dangerous.
And tougher enforcement, and we're willing to fight for it.
Let's listen to that again.
We're willing to fight for it.
She scares me.
We believe in science. And that means that we have a responsibility to protect this earth, and we will fight for it.
Oh, man. Don't you love that? How everyone's going crazy? Fuck yeah, science! Science, bitches! Science!
You know, the funny thing is you went out and quizzed anybody in that audience about just the simplest things like, what two atoms are in sodium chloride, which should be sodium and chlorine. Right. They wouldn't be able to answer it. The audience is, most of these people that are promoting science and talking a big game about science, they don't know anything. They're complete morons.
They know nothing.
Anyway, play it out and let it go for a minute.
Okay, hold on a second. Here we go.
We believe that the internet shouldn't be rigged to benefit big corporations, and that means real net neutrality. And we will fight for it.
We will fight for it. Now I'm hooked. Now I'm like, we're all going to die. This woman is going to kill all of us. We want the government to regulate the interwebs.
We believe that no one should work full time and still live in poverty. That means raising the minimum wage, and we will fight for it.
My God.
We will fight for it.
I mean, if you put everything in a bucket, this is it, right? She's saying it's just like, it's like you got a bunch of horny guys. I'll give you hookers with big tits. And they'll want you
for it.
And they'll blow job. We'll fight for it. Everything you want. And all the way, BJ, all the way.
And let me add to that.
Oh, please.
We
More.
believe that fast food workers deserve a livable wage, and that means when they take to the picket line, we are proud to fight alongside them.
Because
That's
we want McDonald's. Dude.
You bet.
You bet. You bet.
We believe that students are entitled to get an education without being crushed by debt, and we are willing to fight for it.
Free school.
We are willing.
Free Nelson Mandela.
We believe that after a lifetime of work, people are entitled to retire with dignity, and that means protecting Social Security, Medicare, and pensions.
Hell
and
yeah.
we will fight for them.
Good slaves.
We will fight.
I mean, this is I'm running for president speech, John.
Yeah.
Isn't this great?
Yeah.
You're not bored yet, are you?
No, I mean, but it's just pretty much checklist crap.
It's good, but I love the audience.
She's very much of a populist. She's actually outflanking Hillary because Hillary is the
she's dead in the water, man. Dead in the water.
No, I know that, but she is the sage Secretary of State that has the chops to understand the world stage in ways that Brzezinski does. Yeah. But the American public doesn't give a crap.
No,
they give a crap about the stuff that Elizabeth Warren is talking about. Warren will not talk about foreign stuff, foreign policy stuff. She has no idea.
Well, ho.
Well, besides the knee-jerk stuff.
Oh. We believe.
Yeah, we do, baby.
Ollie, I can't believe I have to say this in 2014.
Oh, yeah.
We believe in equal pay for equal work, and we're willing to fight for it.
That's right. That's right.
That's a bromide.
Yep.
It's good.
Yup.
She does a lot of yup.
You gotta get that out of it.
I love it.
Get rid of that yup.
Yup. All right.
We believe that equal means equal, and that's true in marriage, it's true in the workplace, it's true in all of America.
Hell yeah.
And we're willing to fight for
America.
it. You bet.
And we're willing to fight for it. You bet.
You bet.
Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay? This is interesting. I like this.
We believe that immigration has made this country strong and vibrant, and that means reform, and we are willing to fight for it.
Hell yeah.
Well, his audience is going nuts.
Yeah, they love it. She is it. Almost over. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's orgasmic.
And we believe. That corporations are not people, that women have a right to their bodies. We will overturn Hobby Lobby, and we will fight for it.
Yeah, fuck the Supreme Court. White guys.
We will fight.
Lobby.
Yeah, fight. Screw the Supreme Court.
Hobby Lobby.
Screw the Supreme Court. We're going to overturn it.
What's there to overturn? He's full of shit.
Yeah, well, she's your girl, man.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, well, almost done.
For it. Right here in this room. Right here in this room. This is where it happens. This is 21st century democracy. This is the future of America. This is where we decide that we, the people, will fight for what we believe in. We're going to do this together, and we're going to win.
Woo! Win.
It's going to happen.
All right. Yes, we can. And we're going to win, she says.
We're going to win, she says.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Sounds a little shrill there.
I'm impressed. This will be hard to beat.
Yep. It's beatable, though, but the Republicans won't beat it because everybody knows we're in the 4-year period where you really don't want to. Whoever wins that election is going to be one term and out. She'll screw it up. She has to because she's the Jimmy Carter. This is the Jimmy Carter moment. Because the last 4 years in the 30-year cycle.
Was he a one-termer, Jimmy Carter?
Yes, one-termer.
And then who came in after that? Reagan.
And then things changed, and everybody thought the Democrats never get back in again. That's exactly what we're going to see. She's going to win, and we're going to have our woman president, and she's going to be such a screw-up. Really. She's going to be such a screw-up that everyone's going to be so fed up with the Democrat Party and the progressives in general that they'll roust her. And then somebody then will get in, but who?
You know, the only thing that I'm really sad about this digital age of the internet and everything, and this was a conversation we were having this morning. When times were bad, and I remember certainly in my lifetime, but nothing really like the 60s, I think, when we had a lot of stuff going down. We had racial riots, we had political things going on.
National Guard shooting kids, protesting.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, now we have, a Russian, pro-Russian separatist insurgents shooting down civilians. We have president droning people. We have, cops dressed not like cops anymore, but like, SWAT teams and militarization. And back in the day, we had the art and music and writing. It was a real expression of how people were feeling and how they were thinking. It's how we got Bob Dylan, just as one small example. But now with the technology and the computerization and the appification of an entire generation, which is not intended to create. These are not tools to create. It are tools to swipe and tap and gesture, but not who writes a novel. Who's going to write a novel on an iPad on a virtual keyboard, and all of the stuff that is created is just in the cloud on Facebook, and not even all of your friends see it. We have zero culture coming out, no physical assets. Nothing being made. That's why no one is sitting down.
Well, and on top of that, as J.C. Buzzkill Jr. would point out, because he would be in agreement with this,
thank goodness. I mean, of course, we do have some kids who are awake, but they're not the majority.
And he says that 75% of the same group is strung out on Ritalin or. Oh,
I forgot that. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We used to get high on a little bit. Hey, man, let's toke some weed, or maybe we'd drop some acid, or something like that. And now it's pharmaceuticals that you're 7 years old. Oh no, I'm sorry. Here, you got to wear the helmet when you go out to play, and then you're a little busy in class. You get your Ritalin, you get all the drugs. That is what I'm actually very sad about. There's no beauty in the world. No one's making any. What, Jay-Z, is he our Bob Dylan? The fuck? It's like.
That's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, it is. It's super pathetic. And what do we have? We have absolutely, there's nothing. And I don't know where's it going to go? What is going to happen? Is there a cycle for this as well? We've never seen this in world history where everything is virtual.
Well, here's the problem with this cycle, if you're going to bring me into this, because I'm always harping on it. We should be in the middle of an extremely creative period.
Yes,
this would reflect the 1970s. And if anyone ever talks about the movies in the 1970s, the movies were very experimental, and old movie hacks. Like people like Peters, Goober, and these guys, they talk about the 70s ending with the 80s, where everything became formulaic and the studio system changed, and now we have mostly CG. But there should be a lot of experimental stuff going on now, a lot of experimental music, like in the 30s when what was called jazz, which is dance music, was so popular, and in the 70s. Jazz, in terms of dance music was extremely popular because it began with the psychedelic scene and all these clubs of Fillmore and places like that. I don't know. Maybe there is something. I don't think it's Coachella. That's what we got.
Right. It's not South by. I'll tell you that.
So, right.
Even Burning Man is bullshit now. You got politicians showing up. Yeah.
Well, actually, Burning Man would be a representative of the experimentation, but it's not supposed to. It just doesn't seem as interesting.
Well, and actually, I have to say, I've never been to Burning Man, so that is not fair of me to condemn it. But I see too many, hipster types now go, "Oh, Burning Man." I think it's kind of ruined. But it has to go much further than that. And to me, the problem really is technology. I hate to sound like the Unabomber, but it has brought us nothing. The tools are so poor for creation. They're so poor. It's all consumption. Just look at your internet up and down link. That tells you enough right there. Who gives a crap about uplink? It's all downlink. Get your Netflix, downlink. And we should have a beautiful explosion. And I do get this from you, from talks we've had. We should have this explosion of creativity, of fantastic, beautiful things that are representative of how people are feeling. And instead, somehow, we have, if we bitch on Twitter for a second, or for over 140 characters, or post something sad, R.I.P. on Facebook, then we're done, and we'll like everyone else who did it, and then we're done. It's become so easy to participate in something and change your icon or your avatar. Okay, I feel better. But that's so poor. There's no richness in it.
I think it exists because when I went to last year's, I was going to go this year, but I didn't manage it. I went to the Adobe. They have this big conference in Los Angeles, and I went there. And one of the things they do between speakers is that they flash up a lot of art that Adobe users have created.
Right.
And some of it is so advanced and spectacular.
Oh, sure.
That you look these guys up and you just see pages after pages of some outrageous quality, creative stuff. But for some reason, it is stuck.
Yeah.
It doesn't get. I mean, during the 60s and 70s, the paisleys and the bright colors and the long hair and all this stuff was in the public domain. And it was affecting everybody where you have get a haircut.
And by the way, that's another thing that has affected us is the copyright laws and the ability to take and change and modify and morph and mix. And that's become very restrictive. I think that the copyright laws, although it should be a great benefit, it's not.
Yeah, well, I'm in no total agreement about this.
I'm mad about it, actually. It sucks. And quite honestly, we're a little bit of creativity, a little bit. I think the artists who participate, there's a lot of beautiful stuff that shows up there. I'm glad it's all in one place, but I'm also like, when that server goes away, we need some physical shit, boy. We need some physical stuff. We really do.
Once the server goes away.
Yeah. Well, isn't that true?
Keep it going.
I mean, when we die, John, and I got news for it, newsflash, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere on a hard drive, someplace, there'll be a show somewhere that someone, oh yeah, I heard of these guys. But really, we'll be erased. There'll be nothing.
Well, no, a lot of stuff gets.
Well, you have books. I mean, you'll have.
Well,
books.
I do have some, right, but I don't have stuff written on a stone tablet. But a lot of stuff is disappearing. I mean, this was a problem with all media. I mean, most of Milton Berle's shows were all destroyed.
Right.
A lot of most Sid Caesar stuff, which is some of the best television ever produced, ever.
Right. All
with
gone.
Some of the strongest writers in the country, gone.
Now, why wasn't that saved?
Executives, and this is before our era.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I was over at Tech TV, and even before that at CNET, I had actually, because I did a bunch of shows at CNET, I took all the tapes. They were in a box. And then one day I was walking around the office at Tech TV, and there was all my shows in a big box, giant box. And then they were on digital, so they're small little tapes.
You mentioned this before, yeah.
Yeah, and I looked, I said, what's this? Oh, we're going to throw it out. What?
So
they don't even ask me if I wanted to take it home. I took it home.
So I have U-matic tapes from MTV.
CNET stuff is U-matic.
U-matic, right? High band C. But I also, we did a reality show about my family. And I have that on DVD. But I also have hundreds of raw footage. Just videotape, which is the little DV cam?
Yeah.
And I'm holding on to that, but I don't even have a DV cam player anymore.
I have to say, there's a lot of problems with 8mm too. There's a lot of these medias. Yeah. It's called dead
gone.
Media.
Yeah, dead for
you
sure.
You got the media. I mean, right now there's a scramble. I have
videotapes of my daughter VHS.
Well, you can move that to DVD for at least now.
Yeah.
But there's a mad scramble in the media world because the original videotapes.
It's a European PAL.
Well, that's just that. Oh, geez, I don't know what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Anyway, the original videotapes that in the 60s when they first appeared was an Ampex unit that was a 2-inch tape.
Yep. No, 4-inch before that. The 4-inchers.
Is it 4 inches?
4-inch, yeah, the 4-inch and then the 2-inch. And
whatever.
The 2-inch is called BNC.
Okay, there's a big tape.
Yeah, it's a big reel.
It's a big tape, and it's got a rotating head on the player that goes horizontally. It's not the helical.
Oh, yes.
Just goes flying around. Yeah. And there's only about 3 of these machines left that work.
Yeah.
And they are taking every tape they can find in these archives and trying to move them out before this equipment just stops working.
Right.
They figure there's going to be hundreds of tapes lost because of the technology. They just won't be able to play them because there will be one machine left, and maybe the gal won't be able to, because it has to be done in real time. If it's a 2-hour tape, it takes an hour to copy it.
But anyway, so what we need,
this is all going to be lost.
Kids like Buzzkill Jr. and my daughter, I just encourage them to make some physical things. That's why I love the maker stuff. I think that's really nice. Even if it's 3D printed, that's all very valid and really nice. And I tell Mickey all the time, I said, you're making beautiful things, and it's not just a photo that you've done. I mean, it's the paper you printed on, and she spends a lot of time really, with contrast and contours, and then the frame and then the type of glass. And these are beautiful objects that we need. And we've got none of that. We got shit. We got Cameron Diaz movie I watched the other night. That's an hour and a half of my life. I could have just killed myself. Cameron Diaz, who I love. The other woman or whatever. I mean, Hollywood movies are shit. It's so bad. You're right. We need new cinema. And we have all the capabilities, but where are the creators? What are they doing? They're sitting at home on Facebook. I don't know what they're doing. This is bad. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Facebook.
Yay!
Facebook's the problem.
Pet peeve of the day.
It actually is both of our pet peeves.
John C. Dvorak's pet peeve of the day. I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Woo! Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
We got to move this show along.
Luckily, it's a short list.
Yeah. Luckily. Hey, it's good news. It's a short list.
Good news. We have nobody.
Yeah.
We only have, 20 people. We have 20 people who
I'm
donate.
actually really happy we had.
It's really pathetic.
For all the amount of work that went into this particular show, it's a little disheartening. But okay, it's all right.
Ian Prentice. Ian, I got it. Montreal, Quebec. Yeah. 147.20.
Yeah,
he's got a knighthood coming up, so we'll give him that in a second. Kaylin.
Is he also on the birth? He wants a birthday list. Is he on that as well? Let me double check.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's on the birthday list. Yep. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Colin Nistor in Northville, Michigan, 133.33. Steve Carr in Red Oak, Texas, 123.45. Joe Martin, Marquette, Michigan, 100. Somebody wrote me complaining of that we didn't read their entire note. But it was a 50. We don't read. I want to mention to people, we normally do not read, except occasionally, the notes, because we'd be on reading notes all the time.
There's a little more structure than that. First of all, the executive producers, associate executive producers, and what that entails is on Dvorak.org/NA. Whatever they request, whatever your note, within some reason. But we've had some War and Peace written. But okay, but within reason, we read everything. Do anything you want. Because you're the executive producer or associate executive producer, we don't have hookers, blow, actors, actresses for you to screw around with. So yes, we'll do that. Then in our thank you segment, which is anything above $50, because most people like to stay anonymous if they're under 50, but also a lot of people are on subscriptions. But we're lenient if you have something going on. Use emails, let us know. But in order to get in more content, we just really don't have the time to read every single note. However, I have noticed if you send in a check with a handwritten note, that pretty much will get read anytime, no matter what your donation level.
It gets sometimes read. The thing is, yes. The thing is that the problem was when we were reading all the notes at $50 and up.
Yeah.
But it was taking up almost half the show because people were writing in long-winded notes, and so we had to put a stop to it. But there's one note I should mention, but I'm just saying this because I lost track of that thing. It came in his email. I'll mention somebody had a sick family member and wanted something read.
Right. Do you have it or not?
I lost. I'll get it.
You lost it again? Good work.
Sorry. Steve Carr, 12345 in Red Oak, Texas. Joe Martin in Marquette, Michigan, 100. Richard Olson in Ellensburg, Washington, 100. Stuart Morrison, Doncaster, Victoria, Australia, 80. Sir Rick, I got a note from him.
He's from Arlington.
6933, Arlington, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Telling me to call him Sir Rick. Anonymous in Middle Earth, 66666. Birthday call out, we got that. He says, do not give my location, which is Middle Earth. I guess they don't know.
He wants to be referred to as pre-Night of the Living Dead.
It's pre-90.
And he has a birthday for Morgan Bark.
Robert Gold in Toronto, Canada. I do have a handwritten note that came in on a check. It's very short. It's an over-the-transom donation from Canada. Started out at 66 Canadian, but I'll be lucky if it translates to double nickels on the dime, given the fix is in for our tar sands battered Canuck buck.
What is this with 266,666? That's interesting. Is that new?
No idea. Whatever. There's another one. Yeah, it came 2 in a row. Surface of FEMA 5, Chicago, 5333. Randall Myers in Manassas, Virginia. We don't have enough Virginia donations, if you know what I mean. 5510. Joe Yana in Madison, South Dakota, 5220. William LaRock in Locust, North Carolina. We have a lot of birthdays with these guys, both Joe and William LaRock in Locust, North Carolina, which I've never heard of. Lucas Hahn in Ermington, Southwest Northwest, whatever, NSW. New South Wales.
North Southwest. Yeah.
North Southwest to $50.20. And these are $50 donors, including Roger Grigsby in Santa Cruz, California, right down the street. Martijn van Galenlast.
Martijn van Galenlast.
Martijn van Galenlast.
In Beneden
Leeuwen.
If you're just gonna make fun of it, then
No, I'm not making fun. I'm trying to get this accent down. Michael Gates, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Just because I can't do it doesn't mean I'm making fun of anything. Andrew Haverson in Gravenhurst, Ontario. And finally, Joe McGinnis with two $50 donations. And 1 minute he gave one from Dingley Village and then from Ringwood East, both in Victoria. And that'll conclude our donors list for show 636. Remind people we do have a show coming up on Thursday. I'd like to pick up the pace a little bit if you don't mind. And it's at Dvorak.org/NA.
A little testy.
I also got into a beef with the guy over why we should use, I don't know why people would ever even suggest that we use Patreon. It's just beyond me. Yeah. It's a service that takes your money. They control your message. It's just not, this marketing 101. Don't use it.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, I do like the whole idea of value for value, but I also don't see why you need that. I mean, we have a clearinghouse for our money. That's PayPal.
You can send checks.
If you send a check, it works even better.
Or you go to your bank. The really cool thing, which most people do that send checks in, is they go to their bank and they say, I want a time payment program to this show. I want you to send them $5 a month, $33 a month, $50 a month. In some cases, $50 a week. And they sign it with the bank, and the bank just mails us checks. And it comes out of their account. They don't have to must, no fuss. You can do it for any period of time.
Is there a charge? There's no charge, is there?
No, it's a bank service. If you're a good bank customer, they'll do it for free.
Right. Okay.
Credit unions do it too.
Yes. Well, everybody, if you if you think you derived any value from this program, I'm not sure that you should go around propagating the entire MH17 story, because it's difficult to do in a few minutes. But you can certainly, I think, now understand that this is really about control and power, and it is about Russia and the resources. And you may be able to use that somewhere along the line, but you can certainly, I think, tell people that, hey, this is not just a bunch of drunken jabronis and boneheads. But also just for you, having some knowledge about what's going on, that's really what you need. Because I had the TV on nonstop, and I got the setup here in the studio. It's crazy. You're being bombarded with a lot of crap, and you really just should not be watching that at all. I had friends of ours call in tears, women. They just so upset about this, and I had to talk them down because and these are not just girly women. These are like women of the world, but there's just so much has been thrown at them. I call my daughter. She's like, "Oh, Dad, it's fucking crazy. It's bad. Everyone's just you go into people shut down, and this is very, very bad. So turn it off. Tune into us once or twice a week, and go outside and smell the flowers or something like that. But just remember, we do need help to be able to produce all of this and to essentially be your armor. We are your shield and your guardians of reality.
Dvorak.org.
It's your birthday. Oh,
Fabrice Sumi says happy birthday to Jean-Claude Schmidt of Irvine, who turns 30 tomorrow. That's his brother Jean-Claude. Thomas Butterick says happy birthday to his Deutsch scumbag brother Samuel, who turned 30 on the 19th. Ian Prentice celebrates his birthday today. Pre-Night of the Living Dead, Morgan Bark of the Relective Air podcasts. Congratulations on the birth of his first human resource, who was born on July 15th. And Joe Yona celebrating today, along with William LaRock, who says happy birthday to his hetero life partner, Nicholas Samaras. 33 tomorrow on July 21st. Happy birthday from all your friends here and your guardians of reality on the best podcast in the universe. Then we've got our two nightings. This is nice. Always happy to welcome people to the round table of the Knights and the Dames. There is Blade 1. This is serious business. John, where is it?
Right here.
Good. I did have the blade, luckily. I was afraid. I lost my instruments. Anonymous from Brooklyn, step forward along with Ian Prentice. Both of you have contributed to the best podcast in the universe, the No Agenda Show, in the amount of $1,000 or more. And I am therefore very happy to pronounce the Knights of the No Agenda Roundtable, Sir Anonymous from Brooklyn and Knight Sir Ian Prentice. Gentlemen, for you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We have Mushrooms and Maker's Mark, Whiskey and Wet Wipes, Bad Science and Perky Breasts, 3 geishas and a bucket of fried chicken, wenches of beer, vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, or if you want some mutton and mead. And you could head on over to noagendanation.com/rings, pick up your rings. I think Eric's fixed it now where you get, when you input your information, you get the an email. And overseas stuff sometimes takes longer if
it ever gets there.
Yeah, it does get stolen and stuff does happen. I got to help one of our knights over there. I think, but also, don't email me. Try to get a hold of Eric. But okay, I'm happy to help whatever I can.
I got the story of the week. Not the plane coming down.
Story of the week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fake TSA clip. Fake TSA 1.
That's not fair. That's not fair. I had that too. You're going to take away the clip of the day.
Well, tonight we're learning a man accused of impersonating TSA agents and groping passengers at SFO is a successful international banker. How could this have happened right?
Wait a minute. I hadn't heard this part of the story.
Next to the real TSA agents, we sent to Brian Webb to find out. Brian?
Well, I've been bouncing back and forth between agencies all day trying to get some answers, each one telling me to talk to the other. Finally, today, the sheriff's office tells us that deputies came out to SFO Tuesday night on reports of a drunk and disruptive man who's now accused of giving new meaning to the phrase, flying the friendly skies. Inside the international terminal at SFO, a TSA imposter is accused of an X-rated security pat-down behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I play the second part. You get the guy's name, and you can look him up. He's like a vice president of one of the big
now
banks.
We're learning the alleged groper, 53-year-old Eric Slayton, is an international investment mogul.
Eric Slayton?
Yes, I get it. Look him up again.
Let me play. I had a version of this, which was. Here's my version.
I like the groper part.
A man suspected of having one too many drinks posed as an airport screener at SFO yesterday. Authorities say he lured 2 unsuspecting women, both foreigners, into a private booth for pat-downs before real security staffers spotted him and called police. So how did he pull it off? Here's what I found out. The man was a ticketed passenger that went through the security checkpoint. He went to an airport lounge and spent a few hours drinking. And that's when the trouble began. He may have swiped plastic blue gloves to look the part. The 53-year-old then returned to the screening area and convinced a passenger who had already been screened to go to a private booth. What happened inside isn't exactly clear because she disappeared to catch her flight. But minutes later, he did it again. And this time, security screeners took notice.
I love this. This is great. Eric Slayton, Slighton, of the Actis Group, and Singapore. Hedge fund guy, dick.
Yeah, he's a big hedge fund guy.
Dick.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of funny because
Hey, lady.
all you have to do is just have those blue gloves and people buy it. I think that's
He
kind
had
of
the
funny.
gloves. Apparently, they showed it. He had the right same color shirt. He wore the same color pants and had the gloves.
I love that. That's fantastic.
I'm sorry, you've been selected for a secondary pat down.
Well, while we're on bankers, then the ING Bank, they have a little. I think this is for investors, and very interesting. There's a little video about Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin is of course interesting since who's that nut job? The Tim Draper. I guess he bought for $18 million. He bought the.
Yeah, he's got nothing better to do with his money.
Right. In the auction of the government funds, which were from, where were they from? Was that from the
takedown of this guy in the city, wasn't it?
Was that the drug thing? Yeah. Was that what it was from? So it's probably a good deal. I mean, I'm happy that he did that because he put a value. I don't know exactly what it is, but he put a value on these Bitcoins. And he's going to want to get his money back eventually. And I still have some. So it's somewhere. I should probably run that program from time to time.
Better not lose them.
No, that would suck. And so ING, they have a call to action for the creators of the Bitcoin.
There is a new kid in Moneytown.
This is a Dutchman who's talking about the Bitcoins, yes?
And it is called Bitcoin.
Bitcoins.
It is part of the family of cryptocurrencies that might become a substitute for traditional money and payment systems.
Woo!
But can cryptocurrencies really replace money?
Well,
money has 3 defining properties.
Now, this is interesting because they're going to say something. What do you think he's going to say? What is the thing that is missing from...
The 3 defining properties?
Of money, yes.
Okay, I think it's good. Why? What's going to be missing?
No, but yeah,
what's going to be missing is there's going to be something that is tangible.
Well, there's something about money. Let's say Bitcoin became the de facto currency. What would we need in order for it to really function as money?
Computers.
No.
It is a means of exchange.
It
is a unit of account. And it is a store of value.
Yes.
Cryptocurrencies may in the future tick the first box, if they are accepted more widely.
First box, yes.
But the second and third are more problematic. Because the value of Bitcoin is very volatile.
Yes.
Bitcoin's value increased tenfold in 2013.
What do we need to stabilize the Bitcoin's value, John?
I have no idea. Base it on gold.
Has also had several speculative crises in its short history.
Yes, very much so.
With real currencies, central banks dampen these fluctuations by regulating money supply and prices through interest rates.
Aha!
But it is an explicit goal of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to do away with central authorities.
Right.
The supply of Bitcoins increases at a predetermined rate by mining. But demand for Bitcoin varies. So its price and the exchange rate with currencies such as the dollar and the euro fluctuate. These fluctuations could be Bitcoin's undoing, as they complicate its adoption as real money. But there is a way out.
Yes.
A Bitcoin algorithm that smoothly matches money supply and demand. It is not impossible, but the inventors of that successful algorithm would make such a momentous step forward that they would surely qualify for the Nobel Prize in Economics.
Oh!
What?
I knew you'd like
Does anybody think this is completely insane but me?
That's ING Bank, man. That's a real bank saying this. I thought it was great. I loved it. Yeah, of course it's insane.
It's insane. This is Beanie Babies. Hello?
Yeah. Quick rundown as we are running over a bit, but of course we had a lot. Haiti, news on Haiti. The Olympic Committee Sports Complex has opened up.
For what?
For what? For Olympic sports, of course. Port-au-Prince, a group of diplomats relived childhood dreams Tuesday as they practiced jump shots, played table tennis, and jockeyed to score goal on the soccer field. Led by Prime Minister Laurent Lamont, the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and International Olympic Committee President, that's IOC, Thomas Bach, toured Haiti's newest sports complex, a still under construction $18 million facility. That's right. You've got cholera, and we'll build a sports complex.
Huh.
It's sad.
All right. Well, I think you've summarized the day.
No.
You want to do a Hamas story? I do have a kind of
really?
a nice...
Okay. Yeah. But listen, I'm so the only thing I have on Hamas and Hamas is how you have to say it. I questioned Sir Jonah, one of our knights there in Israel. I said, this Iron Dome thing, when it blows when it blows one of those rockets from Hamas out of the sky, doesn't debris fall down? And he said, yes, no one ever talks about this. But there's this video, you have to see this, it's in the show notes, where a piece of Iron Dome rocket or whatever falls down in a tree, and it's a surveillance video, and it makes a hole, it makes a dent in the tree and in the ground, and like 2 seconds later, this cat flies out of the tree completely free. It's very funny. But these things, they fall on sidewalks, they fall on cars. It's not without risk, this Iron Dome thing.
I put a trap in the backyard.
Yes, you were very excited on Thursday.
Yeah, I put a trap in the backyard to catch a squirrel that was plaguing me for the last 2 years. Eating plums off the tree.
Hold on a second. One squirrel. This reeks of Caddyshack. One squirrel for 2 years has been pestering you.
Yes,
by eating your plums.
By eating the plums on the tree.
And are you sure it's the same squirrel?
Well, no, we think it wasn't. We think the other squirrel's dead, and this is one of its kids this time.
And do you have a mouse in your pocket?
So talking about the entire family was involved in this episode.
Okay.
So I put the trap out there and caught the squirrel. And it wasn't as damaging as the squirrel last year, but it did bite into 1 or 2 plums. I put a plum in the trap. The trap is great. It's a great trap. So the squirrel's in there. And so I took the squirrel to Berkeley. It's probably illegally.
Yeah, you transported the squirrel.
I transported the squirrel.
What kind of? Can I ask some questions? Can I interrogate you? What kind of trap is this? Is it a trap with a cage with a door, and he goes in? You put a plum in there or something, and the door closes, or is it like a claw?
No.
You got his leg.
The squirrel goes into the cage. It's a see-through. It's a cage, literally. The squirrel touches the thing. It unhooked the lid. It's like a door slams shut.
Right. And what did you use for bait?
A plum.
A plum. Perfect.
So the squirrel went in there, and so I took the squirrel and dropped him off on the other side of the freeway, deep in Berkeley.
Oh, you put him in another place. You just took him. You just said,
I didn't kill the squirrel.
Live free.
As tempting as it was.
You basically moved him away from his family. You deported him essentially.
I deported the squirrel.
Okay. All right. And did he have a sad face?
Up. So yesterday I put this trap back up. There's a small possum in the trap.
Possums are crazy animals.
Well, this is a little one because otherwise we don't have a giant trap. It's a squirrel trap specifically for animals about that size.
Possums can do a lot of damage, actually.
I don't notice this.
Okay.
But I don't want, these varmints are at night. They're just roaming around. Who knows what's going on? You can't sleep outside.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
So you had the squirrel. You deported the squirrel, but yet you set the trap again?
I figure there's another squirrel.
Okay.
There's usually not a squirrel.
And what is the function of the possum in the animal kingdom?
To play dead? I have no idea. In the morning. They're like a marsupial. They float around at night and they eat stuff.
Okay. And so with a plum, and he ate the plum.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, plum. So I kicked him out. I didn't deport him. I just told him to get lost.
And did he listen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he took off.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I don't catch a small skunk. That would be bad.
Ooh, yeah. I've had that happen.
Anyway, so I just thought I'd report in on this.
Very good. Have you ever had moles? Have you ever tried to deal with moles?
No, I'm on a rock.
Oh, right.
I love to see a mole try to dig around here.
Because mole trapping is that's a skill.
We used to have moles when I lived as a kid, and up north we have gophers. Although they all disappeared for some reason, so I haven't seen one for a while.
Global warming.
They make a mess.
Climate change.
They put holes everywhere.
Climate change is why they disappeared.
It could be climate change.
But Mickey said she heard on NPR about the Ebola virus, which is out of control now in all of Africa or whatever.
I wanted to talk about that on one of the shows, and I'll probably discuss it in some great detail because I have some thoughts about the Ebola virus, and we'll discuss it on Thursday.
Let's do it on Thursday. Well, I have to find the report, but she said that on NPR they were blaming climate change.
Well, I'd blame. That's funny.
Yeah,
I'd like to get that clip. But Ebola's been around for a while, so it's I think there's over 550 dead now. Very
up to 600. Yeah,
mild coverage by the Western press. Even though this could be a disaster if somebody showed up in Paris, started getting on public transit. And the real problem would be, it seems to me, if you have a Typhoid Mary type of person.
What is that?
Walking infected Ebola person that doesn't actually catch the disease.
What is the story of the Typhoid Mary?
Typhoid Mary was a famous woman. It could be a myth, but I think it was real, that apparently had walking typhoid fever, but she never got to the point where it's going to kill her, so she'd roam around infecting everybody. And with typhoid. And so
Book of Knowledge. Hold on a second.
Look up Typhoid Mary.
Mary Mallon, M-A-L-L-O-N, September 23rd, 1869 to November 11th, 1938. Better known as Typhoid Mary, was the first person in the United States identified as an asymptomatic carrier.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Of the pathogen associated with typhoid fever. She was presumed to have infected 51 people, 3 of whom died over the course of her career as a cook. Oh, yeah. She was twice forcibly isolated by public health authorities and died after a total of nearly 3 decades in isolation. Interesting.
They locked her up.
So that actually brings me to, as we close out, a War on Crazy story. There's this app. I think it's Ginger.io. It's the behavioral health analytics startup. This is for all you wearable people who see smartphones as automated diaries containing valuable insight into the mental well-being of people with mental illness. You got to go to this website. It's pretty interesting.
What's it called?
Ginger.io.
It's about redheads?
No, it's just like, I don't know. The domain name was available. And here it is. Smarter care starts with your smartphone. And so what it is, it's an app. And if you say, I'm an individual living with a chronic condition, mainly mental health, looking for stronger connection to my provider and better care, feel better. So what it does is the app uses data from your phone to safely and securely watch for days when your health may take a hit. It'll then connect you with care providers who can step in when it matters most. So if you're depressed, the app will know.
How's the phone going to know?
Well, if someone, I'm reading from their material, if someone is depressed, for instance, they isolate themselves, have a hard time getting up to go to school or work. They're lethargic and don't like communicating with others the way they typically do. Turns out you see the same features change in their mobile phone sensor data in their movement, features, and interactions with others. So the Ginger app tracks everything. And then it sees your behavior. And I'm like, oh, well, man, I don't know. And then, I guess they'll send over you guys.
Play the clip.
There's a clip?
Yeah, go to For Individuals, and there's a nice little clip there.
Oh, shoot. I didn't see that. Hold on a second. Ginger.io. You're already playing the clip. I didn't read it. For Individuals. I didn't realize there was a clip. I'm sorry. I would have set that up.
Yeah, don't apologize.
Where do you see it? Oh, there it is. Oh, it's below the fold.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why.
Sometimes it can feel like your health gets away from you.
Huh?
Or like your body has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
And it won't tell you what it's thinking. It can be hard to answer your doctor's questions about how you feel today or how you felt last month.
Wow.
But what if your body had a better way to communicate how it was doing? What if you had a better way to listen? That's the idea behind Ginger.io. We use your smartphone, yes, that thing you never put down, to map how you go about your day. We look at things like how much you move around and how many other people you talk to, and ask you a few questions about how you're doing right now. We use this map to help you learn what your body is trying to say. When something seems off, we send an alert to you and to the people who care about your health. No struggling to remember when you had trouble waking up or whether you felt like a 5 or a 7. Just simple questions paired with a system that's always on but never in your way.
Oh, brother.
That's the magic of Ginger.io. We give your health a voice and a way for you and your care team to hear it. Best of all, it's simple, secure, and free. Talk to your care provider to get started. Or check us out at ginger.io and sign up.
This is what
will obey.
This is what wearables will be all about.
Yeah, I think that's where it all leads. All roads lead to Ginger.io. Yeah, just spying on you, making sure that that the police are they know what's going on. In case,
I think it's pretty good. All right, so on Thursday we will talk about NPR and PBS. I promise. We have to talk about Afghanistan. That's how you pronounce it. About the Afghanistan pipeline. All of this is, everything's falling into place there. Turkmenistan is happy with the deal. So the TAPI pipeline, which goes all the way to Pakistan and India, they feel that we have the pipeline security in place with the drones in Waziristan. So they're good. They're going to open up the pipeline so we can feed Pakistan and India. We also have, Turkey privatization. I think Afghanistan is the main one we want to talk about. Oh, and there's new players in the Snowden affair, and there's a lot going on, John. I just haven't been able to get into it deep enough because of all of the MH17 stuff.
Okay, you're on for the Snowden stuff.
Yeah, and I'll just give you a name. Runa Sandvik. New player.
Runa
Sandvik. Do you know Runa Sandvik? Runa.
I never heard of her.
I think she's from Denmark or something. She's I think now she's like a Washington, D.C., another one of these freedom of the press. Basically a replacement for Applebaum. See, the whole thing with the Berlin crew and Donald Greenwald is, he's been separated. He's no longer is in touch with Snowden. Poitras.
We have
and
the
Applebaum.
rumors of a second leaker, which is correct. Has to be discussed.
And now Snowden went back and did an interview without his glasses, I might add, interestingly enough, with The Guardian. I don't know if you've seen that video interview. He was on the Hope X conference, which was in New York with the pencil.
Are you finding Snowden to be a little tedious?
Very. I don't find him interesting at all anymore. He's now talking policy and all this stuff. Not interested.
Yeah, as though he's like a policy guy.
Yeah, and
he's not a policy guy.
No, he's a spy. But this Runa Sandvik, that's starting to get very interesting about her involvement early on, and the story is slowly unfolding a little differently from what Glenn Greenwald said. And here is just playing us out is Snowden saying essentially in this Guardian interview that at the NSA, certainly, but I think he means maybe any intelligence unit, when they find like a hot picture of someone who's hot and sexy and naked, they basically pass it around. Which, duh, of course you do that. I mean, John, you and I email pictures all the time. Right?
Now, in the course of their daily work, they stumble across something that is completely unrelated to their work in any sort of necessary sense. For example, an intimate nude photo of someone in a sexually compromising situation, but they're extremely attractive. So what do? They turn around in their chair and they show their coworker. And their coworker says, "Oh, hey, that's great. Send that to Bill down the way."
Hey, Bill.
And then Bill sends it to George. George sends it to Tom. Yeah. And sooner or later, this person's whole life has been seen by all of these other people. It's never reported. Nobody ever knows about it because the auditing of these systems is incredibly weak. The fact that your private images, records of your private lives, records of your intimate moments have been taken from your private communication stream, from the intended recipient, and given to the government without any specific authorization, without any specific need, is itself a violation of your rights. Why is that in a government database?
And you saw instances of that happening?
Absolutely, yeah.
Numerous, or?
It's routine enough, depending on sort of the company you keep. It could be more or less frequent. But these are seen as sort of the fringe benefits of surveillance positions.
Hell yeah.
You say the auditing's not that good that it would pick up on the sharing of that kind of material.
A 29-year-old walked in and out of the NSA with all of their private records. What does that say about their auditing?
Interesting how he talked about himself as a 29-year-old. Right?
Yeah, he's at the point where he's talking about himself in the third person.
And his girlfriend is about to come back on the scene, too.
The dancer?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's about time.
I agree. So all of these things.
My life with Snowden.
I think we're going to find some things out.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Oh, you don't sound too excited.
I'm not excited at all.
I'm sorry. I thought you would be excited.
I mean, why don't they just, this guy, for one thing, it's just the story is just not going anywhere. It's just dead end now. And Greenwald's not contributing anything.
No, Greenwald is
he's
out,
like God.
done.
He's been taken out of the picture.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, the whole thing is deteriorated into just nothing.
Well, I think there's still something left. I think there is some Cryptome.org they are threatening to release all of the Snowden documents. I don't know if they actually have them or not.
They could have gotten them. I know the New York Times has them. It's possible somebody could have taken it from there.
Right.
Even though I guess you go into a locked room to look at anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Anyway, it was fun talking with you, John, as usual. I always enjoy our Thursdays and Sundays. As always, I look forward to it. It's always cool.
Well, I enjoyed your analysis. I thought it was top drawer.
Thank you.
I think it's top 5.
Oh, thank you.
And puts it all together. It makes more sense to what you said than anything else. And I think we have lots of backup to make it very credible. And, again, nobody else will have anything like this anywhere else. Sometimes they try to do it. They just usually, maybe they'll just, I don't know how this is going to play out in terms of the public consciousness, but it's probably going to be exclusive to the listeners of this show.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have the, they'll have the knowing smile. That's all you're going to be able to do, folks. Knowing smile.
That's right. That's all you need in life is the knowing smile. And please contribute. Dvorak.org/NA. We appreciate your help. And coming to you from the South Austin Safe House here in FEMA Region 6, the capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, also known as the Superior FEMA Region 9, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Thursday, right here on No Agenda.
Poop time! I'm a rule follower, so if the rule is that we have to do it, then I'll do it.
Dvorak! Dude. Sometimes fascism benefits.
I'm Joe Biden, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA